do people do this? Can you imagine walking around holding a camera up, pointing at yourself in public places?
This one, guys, is going to be Donnie coming to you from Masao, Japan, Pinku Style Garage as always. Just about 5:30 at nighttime or whatever. I'm not going to say what day it is because these podcasts are starting to get laid on top of each other. So actually the days and the stuff is not going to line up now because I'm actually a lot more busy. Well, I'm always busy, but stuff is going crazy. So anyway, this will probably come out like actually it's like one podcast before yours, Kyle. Now it'll come out and everything. So today's guest we got is one of my guys actually in Japan. But he's about 8 hours south of me right now and everything. It's going to be Kyle Johnson. He's going to introduce himself in a second. But guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. The podcast is growing. The numbers actually, I don't know what happened, but the numbers are going up, man. So I got about maybe 1,500 subscribers in the last couple of months or so. So guys, there, I guess, liking the content. Be sure to send your questions and stuff to podcast@pinkustyle.com. For the challenge, which I'm not going to do this episode. I'll do it another time with Kyle. For the challenges, if you guys got cars you want us to talk about and things like that, send those and we'll be able to get to it and everything. So just get into my guest right here because he's patiently waiting and everything with a nice Miata in the background there. Let's go to introduce yourself, Kyle, and where you're from, what you're about, how you came to Japan, and we'll go from there, man.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So my name's Kyle Johnson. I am from Florida originally, but recently I've been all around the world, which is exactly how I came to Japan. I'm in the military. I'm an Air Force photographer.
So you're it's cool, man, because one of my guys that just left here was a dude named Gerard Vickers. Did you know him?
No.
He was a photog communications guy up here, and now he's working for Black Rifle Coffee. He got out like I think about a year ago. And he was calling my episode. So he did a few videos of me on YouTube, and always had the access to the cool cameras as long as he got them turned back in by Monday or whatever. So yeah, man. So like, I mean, when did you join the military? What year did you come into the military?
2014. Yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
14. So 14, man. I feel old. I came in at 2005 delete entry, and then 2006 I went to basic and everything, man. So what'd you do before that? Before the military?
So before the military, it's mixed past. I don't talk about it too much, but I worked in a corporate environment. I worked in a call center, and then I did public speaking. Yeah, I don't like to get into details of the public speaking part.
It's all good. No problem. So I mean, it's all. I just kind of like to see because we're all here in Japan. We're all like for us, you're in the car guys. We'll talk about the Race Life Japan site in a second, a little bit about that. But we're all in Japan. Like now, it's like all the stuff that we did before we got here, man. I'm 37, and all the crap we've been through in life, man. And it leads up to like us being in Japan, the mecca of cars and Japanese cars, that is. And a lot of our guys thinking we're living a life, but they don't realize how like difficult it is here to do things. And we'll definitely talk about that in a second about just to do track events. It's cheaper, but it's a lot of extra BS that's wrapped up in there, man. So we'll talk about that, man, in a second, man. But what got you in the cars overall, and what set you on the course to wasting all this money, man?
Yeah. Funny. Well, the main thing that got me into cars is probably a Fiesta ST, to be honest. I grew up in an automotive enthusiasm family.
Okay.
My grandparents drag race motorcycles until their arthritis was too bad to hold on to the steering wheel. And my dad had like 6 or 7 bikes through my whole life growing up. And he was always trying to get me to go to the garage. I never did it because I was too busy playing video games. And it's one of my biggest regrets in life because I could be a lot more capable than I am. He tried.
Yeah.
I didn't let him, so here I am. After I moved to Alaska, I got really into the autocross scene.
Okay.
And the autocross scene, what's valuable in a car is significantly different than what I had been raised to believe to be valuable in a car.
Right.
And so I got a Fiesta ST, and come to find out it's very well suited for autocross. So I started learning how to do competitive driving in an autocross kind of environment, and I really just fell in love, and I couldn't stop. So for about 7 years now, so it's really started shortly after I joined the military. So for about 7 years now, anytime I can get a chance to get on a track or even just a parking lot, I do what I can to do it. And my value in cars has changed significantly because of that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. In the autocross, what was the name of the organization you drove under there?
Yeah,
do you remember?
It was an SCCA.
SCCA, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured that, yeah. So I was SCCA. I was SCCA WDCR region is where I started out in Andrews Air Force Base, and my kick every time I bring it up, like I had my instructor on about a few episodes. Well, a handful of episodes ago, the guy actually taught me things. It was cool to be able to talk to him, and now that I was like that. I wasn't a kid, but a kid metaphorically, and he it's like, yeah, do this, do that, and now I'm like, I got pro level driving here in Japan, and it was cool to talk to him, and most guys that go through the school, they don't never see the person again, so we stay, and his son actually works for Tesla as a test driver, and he was like a badass kid, and he said pretty much they just ran out of money, and after they start going to the regionals and the nationals, he was like, well, you got to get like a seat, get a sponsor, or we can't do this no more. We just went back to the local thing, man. But autocross, a lot of people knock it that don't try it, and it's like you look at it and you see a bunch of cones, and it's like, that don't look fun. And then after you get out there the first time, you realize, dude, it's pretty challenging, man. So for autocross aspect, what was the hardest thing? Coming from, like you say, you came from the drag racing and things like that and all that stuff. What was the hardest thing for you personally to get accustomed to an autocross?
Well, definitely braking. Yeah. Yeah, definitely braking. Yeah. So I learned performance driving on a newer car, right? The Fiesta ST was right. It was newer. And so they had ABS, right? So basically, when you go into a corner, you want to use all the brakes as quickly as possible for as short as amount of time as possible, right? So you can get back on the gas. And I had never driven a car that way. So that plus driving to the center were two very bad habits of mine. I would slowly increase my brake pressure too slowly, and I had no concept of a driving line at all, which is a shame because I rode motorcycles for a while, not very well. Rode motorcycles for a while, and you kind of have to do lines when you do motorcycles. So you would think that I would have picked up on that better, but it was really hard for me. Braking and lines, for sure.
Yeah, man, that's for me, it was the urge not to drift because I started I got into autocross after I actually into like hardcore and drifting, got the S13 and stuff like that. And then when I came to the course, I was getting ridiculed because my car looked like crap. It was dented fenders, had mismatched wheels, and they were like, "Don't drift out here" and stuff like that. And they was like, if it kind of goes out, control it and everything, and then drifter would it would kind of you would lay into it, and I got warned and everything. And I never, after the first warning, I was like, all right, man, I don't want to screw it up for the drifter guys. So I actually was pretty decent after that. When going to the school was the biggest thing for me, and also I think it was swallowing my pride because everybody feels like once you got advanced, well, I would say mid level to advanced control over a car, you feel like you're the best driver in the world until you get around a bunch of guys that are really, really, really seasoned, and you realize how slow your car is and how slow you are. And it was going through that course and listening to what those guys had to say, and like you said, the brake. My guy Brian Garfield was like, you're either on the brake, you're on the gas. There's no in between hovering. You're just flat out or off or on. And then once I got that, my times increased because like you, I was braking, riding it, and then I was killing time and everything, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so they got that. And then from autocross, what was the first time that you actually got onto a actual race course?
Like a track?
Yeah.
4 years ago in Japan, honestly, because I had a hard time. So, well, I guess Yeah, I would say Japan. So in Alaska, we had like an abandoned runway that we would go to.
Okay.
It was in Tok, T-O-K. Basically, it was an abandoned airstrip, and we would set up full on. It was big enough to where we could set up like on pretty much a course there.
Nice.
And we would camp out on the weekend, and we would just grill and you would race all day, drink all night, race all day, and that's the weekend. And the so we'd set up a course there, but it was rough, awful pavement. It wasn't established. It was still cones, right?
Yeah.
So when I came to Japan, I got on a track pretty quickly within a few months of getting to Japan. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. Because the cross and same thing with like track cross and different stuff in the States, you have you're doing a run, right? And you're not even doing a loop. You do a run and then you stop. And so you're getting maybe 30 or 40 seconds of track time at a time. And on an average autocross day, you might run 5 times, right? So you're getting 5 minutes total.
Right.
But on the course here in Yamanashi, I was able to get 3 hours. I would average 80 laps in a session.
Yeah, man, that's crazy to do that. And then like, what was it like going from the cones to the actual track? What was your initial like? Did you watch any videos before you went to Yamanashi, or did you just go there? You just went there and went on the track?
I just went there blind.
Okay.
I mean, I did what I tell everybody not to do. And like 2 weeks after getting here, I bought a GT-R R33.
Yeah.
And then first thing I did is I took it to the track with its trash, dry rotted tires, and heavy wheels, and who knows what was wrong with it. And it held up. It didn't give me a hard time, but I did everything wrong. And it was slow, it was bad. I was scared of crashing it. And I just kind of spent my first track day trying to find out where my personal comfort zone was, and then pushing past that just a little bit.
Right.
Get out of people's way, essentially.
Yeah. And we definitely talk about the GT-R, man, because I know you made a change that many people like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. And so we'll talk about the change for that. It's weird, man, because before we get into your story about your GT-R and your change, the GT-R was like I've been in cars since '99, right 1 year before Fast and Furious. So I'm like I still consider myself in that Fast and Furious crowd, because it was like Fast and Furious 1 came out. I was working in the movie theater, Regal Cinema. So we actually seen it the night before it came out, because we were employees. So we had all the guys there, we're all car guys. We would go there. We weren't supposed to have a big car meet, but it turned into this big ass car meet, and we almost got in trouble because it was supposed to be a private viewing. So we got 30, 40 dudes out there because somebody told somebody. So we all watched it the night before with us, and then we watched it the next day with the general public. And that was like, it was like, and after that movie, everybody we went street racing right after the movie. As soon as the movie was over, we went street racing. So we were out there for like 2 a.m. and 3 a.m, because we were actually doing this in real life before the movie came out. And it just kind of blew everything up. And I'm pretty sure you were in the game at that time, and everything just exploded at that time. But one thing for me, man, drag racing kind of got boring, because I think the fastest my car went was about 13 seconds or so, like that, mid-13s. And it was just costing too much money to build a real drag car and everything. So we got into the twisties and we call them twisties back in the States. Got into the twisties and everything. And then like I found Initial D and in college, and that just kind of blew that Initial D and a few old school videos back when Ibisu Toge course was brand new. Koguchi-san was driving the 180SX as always. And before YouTube, this was like E-Bomb World and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And and streetfire.net. And that's I got hooked on drifting, and then like drag was like, what is drag? And then drifting just became the thing, man. And it just kind of, it's crazy how everything kind of, it matures, and your mindset changed from like, I want to do this to I want to do this and everything. When I got into the military, GTR was all I wanted. GTR was all I was thinking about in basic. And on a track running around in Lackland, I don't know what squadron it was. I forgot that stuff, man. But I was running around the track, and I'm like, man, I want a GTR, and that was my motivation. It got me through running, because I hated distance running. So running around the track, I'm like GTR. Then I go Andrews Air Force Base, my first duty station. Didn't want it. Went there, linked up with a general. Got to go to Misawa, and I've driven tons of GTRs. I've had everything but a GTR. Once I got here and I've seen how many were here, I've had a bunch of GTSs and everything. But the first day, man, I seen like 30, like no shit, 30 GTRs. And I'm just like, man, I just, something just instantly turned me off to the car. And I don't know, because my mindset and psyche is I don't like to do the same thing as everybody, even though we're all doing the same thing, but it just, something snapped and I never got one, man. So for you, man, like getting your GT, what was your story on that and everything, man?
Well, to be honest with you,
yeah,
I didn't know. So I was 11 when Fast and Furious came out, and wasn't that interested in the movie series, to be honest.
Yeah,
a lot of people who come here and they're interested.
That's crazy.
It goes back to that, but I was playing right at the time.
Yeah,
I didn't. It was just that series didn't affect me at all. What affected was my time in Alaska learning how to drive, and I just wanted a car that was performance focused, one that I didn't think was ugly, and one that I could keep long term, because I like to keep cars for a while. Right. And so I came here, and my brother, he was a bit older than me. He same as you actually. He joined the Army in 2005. He deployed once and then joined the Air Force right after. But he was like, you got to get a GTR. And I was like, all right, well, let me look these cars up. And at that time, the 33s weren't legal, right? So it was just that people were bringing in. And I looked it up, and I'm like, lying, man, I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it looked. But then I looked at the 33, and it really appealed to me. I was like, now this is something I can get behind with a little bit of freshening up. And I was really interested in the all-wheel drive format, because I hadn't driven that at this time. I'd driven like a V8 muscle car, rear-wheel drive. I'd driven front-wheel drive turbos, but I'd never experienced an all-wheel drive car before. And I certainly never experienced like an inline six, unless you count my Saab 97X, which I don't.
Yeah. Nah.
So that's, for me, I bought it because I wanted a new experience, and because it go up in value. And I got the new experience, and well, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. The with the GTR, man, like there's a, speaking on the 32 GTR, because that's like the most notable one everybody pretty much talks about. The 30, it's funny that you got a 33, because the 33 is like the one that nobody cares about. It's like 33 is like that ugly duckling, which is why I got my 33 when I first got it. Was my first Skyline was a 33 GTST, because I seen so many 32s that I was like, I want to get a 33 now, because the 34s were like, they were like generally like way, I didn't really care for the GTT at the time. And I got the 33, and it just grew on me, and actually it felt cool to me, because the 33 it's a little bit better for a bigger guy actually, versus the 32.
Yeah, I think so.
The 33 and the 34 fits bigger people a little bit better than the 32, which is like S13. But the 32, of course, has its history in the racing and the Group A and all that stuff like that, getting banned because it was so good. So it has its racing pedigree. It's undoubted. It's people try to knock it. It's there. You can't erase the wins. You can't erase the car being banned because it was too good. But that GTR and the GTR that most guys are driving on base, that's two different levels. And most guys on base think they have that GTR, which is far from that GTR. It's leaps and bounds, and it's not the same car. It's the same body, but everything about it is different.
Right. It's like buying like a rally validation car and thinking, wow, like a Fiesta. Like it's a great. You can buy a Fiesta and think, all right, I'm gonna go, kick some butt on a rally course. You're just right. It doesn't even have the same drivetrain.
It's totally different, man. And like a lot of guys they harp on that, which I'm like, you can bring it up to that level, but it takes a lot of money. And GTR is one of those cars where I don't like it being a shop and everything. I don't get into people's like finances. They either can do it or they can't do it as far as the the service. So I was like, hey, it's going to be this much, and then we'll kind of go from there. But it's one of those cars where it's not an entry level car, and some guys get the entry level car, and I'm like, dude, this is not. Like the Miata behind you, man. It's like autocross. It killed in my area. Not sure how it was in your area, but the Miata
destroyed. Couldn't beat them.
Yeah, they destroyed people, man.
There was an R35 in my little SCCA group. There's a guy with an R35 who was a good driver, and then there was a host of Miatas, and raw time. I think they were, because an average autocross is about 40 seconds or so. I say raw time, the Miata was either faster than a GT-R or they were within a second of each other, which can be a lot on a course, but it wasn't significant when you're looking at a $6,000 grandma car versus the $120,000 JDM Mecca, and I'm like, why? And the truth is, because the R35 is not designed for autocross, right? That is not the course for that car.
Nah, it's not.
But
it's crazy. That thing is. I actually, believe it or not, I never driven. When I say drive, for me, drive means like to the max. I never driven the GT-R, the new GT-R and everything. It's definitely wide. And I can imagine like the autocross course, they set it up for a certain width, but they can't like accommodate everything. So if you come there with like a Lincoln Town car, that's not, you know what I mean? It's not really made for a Lincoln Town car.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's crazy. For the GT-R, man, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's definitely a good car, but at the same time, depending on who the person is you're speaking to, it definitely has that that aura of like, it's better just because of the GT-R, when in reality, I'm pretty sure you can speak on it, how much maintenance you had to do to get your car back up to that, how the spec it was 25 years ago, as far as the bushings, the ball joints, and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like mine was clean, and I spent $15,000 restoring it, and most of that was in paint and body.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no such like I have all these people who message me all the time, like, hey, I want to get a GT-R when they're coming to Japan. I'm like, well, just don't.
Yeah.
Unless you are invested in the platform and you're willing to put money and time it takes, I always tell them just don't, because we think, a lot of Americans think that when you buy a used car, you're buying a car you can kind of shop around and get a car that's in good condition. But that's not with these cars that are this old. It's there's what's left. That's
right.
Like, you have the leftovers now. Pick which one you'd like.
Yeah, it's that, and also like, I mean, it's sometimes by the time you get here again, actually right outside of me in front of me, I got a 1983 DR30, and when I got that car from Gounet, it had so many miles on it. When I got it, as soon as I got it, I could tell right away it was raced. It was they've polished it up for the picture, but once I got it, I was like, it had the Grady Rubik system, which was old school, two more injectors injected because they didn't have big injectors back then. It had an upgraded turbo, TO4E kit. It had a good amount of stuff on it, and it also didn't run because the engine was blown, because it dropped 2 valves, because to drop valves on the FJ20, that takes a significant amount of boost, because FJ20 is pretty much forged from the factory. It's a very great engine. For the guys that don't know about it, look it up. It spawned the RB, the KA, the SR, all those car engines, and it's a very tough engine. So I spent all this money. I changed injectors, I changed this stuff, and I'm like, dude, it's got to be mechanical. And sure enough, I looked down in the cylinder hole. The 2 valves are just in there flopping around like popcorn. And and that. So the car I've had that was my take home car when I was in the military, but I ended up getting out. But I've had the car since 2013 or 14. I've only driven it maybe 4 times. Like, that's it. I got it registered. As soon as I got it registered, the alternator died, and then the whole body harness actually rotted. So I was like, man, I just put it to the side. So it's the luck of the drawer. That's why when I get into car selling, I just inspect the main areas and I sell it. And I haven't had any issues because I point out everything, but everybody doesn't sell cars that way. They don't provide compression checks, pictures under the bottom of the car, things like that. And even after you buy the car, man, it's still, I say that, hey man, like, everything is good, but look, it's 25 years old. As soon as you leave here, the fuel pump could die. You know what I mean? If it hasn't been changed, you know, because it's certain things like that. And I'm pretty straight up with buyers, so I don't have those issues. But I've seen a lot of guys on base get burnt. I mean, I know whoever got your car got a pretty good car, because like you said, you put cash in it, you brought it up and everything, man. So what was your deciding factor on ditching your 33 for the Miata behind you?
If I had to put it in one word, it's simple, and it's easier. It's really easy, honestly. You should never track a car that you can't afford to walk away from. Do you know Jay? all the track stuff are around here. J. Howard.
Yeah.
He has a lot of history up there in Misawa. Anyway, he's kind of like my track mentor, and he always hammers it down. Yeah. And he's like, listen, if you're going to track a car, you're going to crash it at some point, right? You have to be prepared for that eventuality, because if that doesn't happen, you're either not tracking enough or you're not tracking hard enough, which means you're not getting better as a driver. Nobody has a flawless record, right?
No, not at all.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, I got so much money in this car, and the car keeps going up in value. So if I just crash this, where, by the way, insurance doesn't cover that, right? So
nope.
I'm gambling with money for a cheap high, and to try and get better at something. And like, that's a lot of money. I can't afford to lose that. So I can't do it. So ultimately, what I had to choose was, do I choose becoming a better driver, or do I choose internet clout?
Yeah.
You know? And I chose I made my choice. I want to become a better driver, and I don't really care. I got to a point in my life where I'm not chasing the approval of others. I'm not chasing validation. I'm chasing my own personal interest, which is to become a better driver than I am today. So tomorrow I want to be a better driver today. And the Miata is the best car. I decided to put me through that.
Yeah, man. There's no doubt. The NA and NB chassis, man. There's no doubt about it. The just like I was saying about the 32, there's no doubt about in the SCCA, the NASA region, things like that. There's no doubt about the actual. I mean, the amount of wins that car has, the amount of the hot fastest lap of the day records it has. The car, just something about the engine power, the balance, and everything. And I definitely reason I want to talk about that is to segue onto the thrashing that a lot of people have been giving, like the FRS, the BRZ, because it didn't have a 2J, it didn't have this. I'm like, dude, drive the car and then report back. And when most people drive the car, or they get in the car with somebody that's an experienced driver, they're like, dude, how is it so quick? But it doesn't have 8 turbos. And then, like, so what on that, man? Like, what's your theory on that and how people approach? Like, I mean, I like power. Everybody likes power. But at the same time, I found myself doing. Recently, I've been doing a lot more with less. Like, I took the Subaru to Tsukuba. To prove a point, I spent $1,200 on this car. $1,200 total. The ECU costs more than a car value. And I turned it into a truck, and I was outrunning GT-Rs, and everybody's like, man, how is it? Like, dude, it's doing more with less. These guys with these cars are so worried about crashing that they're not. It's not that the car is not fast; they're not pushing. Whereas me, if I crash this $1,200 car, I do not care about it. I don't want to crash it, but at the same time, that allows me to unlock, go 110%, and take a car that costs $1,200 and beat GT-Rs. And it was a lot of cars that I beat out that day. And I want to get back down there again with something else. But what's your theory on that, man? With guys, the power to weight ratios and things like that, and guys just kind of looking for power thirst?
Yeah. So I think. So I'm an American, right? So my perspective culturally is typically American. So I'm going to speak from that. And I think my belief is that a lot of Americans, we were raised in a large country with a lot of space and a lot of availability for displacement, right? You can get a V8 in anything almost these days. They make Jeep Grand Cherokees with, right? And I think the reason why that exists is the geography that we're working with, right? Because America has 2 main mountain ranges, and there's some roads in it, but they're not quite as prevalent as what you would experience in maybe other countries like Japan. And if you are on those roads, there's probably a camper trailer in front of you. So if you want to get a high or get an adrenaline rush, you do it with a straight line speed, or that feeling of being pulled back in your seat. And we associate that with performance because it's the only performance we've ever known for the past 70 years or so, unless you count like track enthusiasts and F1 guys. But those are guys who drink whiskey in tall towers, and we don't really know who they are, right? So I think the roots of American automotive enthusiasm lies firmly in the V8, and I think that's largely determined by the geography that we have to work with. And if you look at Japanese cars, they are predominantly handling focused, dynamic focused. You don't see a lot of V8s, but you do see a lot of 4-cylinders, 6-cylinders, even 3-cylinders. And then the reason for that, I firmly believe, is I believe the number is 75% of Japan is mountainous. Right? So if you want to use a 700 horsepower Hellcat in Japan, well, I say good luck because very boring car to drive here. Because of that, people who are seeking enthusiasm or seeking adrenaline or competition, whatever it is that gets you into cars, you're gonna find it on a twisty road, and you're gonna find it in that kind of in a mountain kind of environment. So the consumerism, right? So the companies build cars that target that. A lot of people are coming from America, and we're not exposed to this culture. We don't understand. So when we think performance, we think Mustang. Now, recently, with the car market becoming more global, and internet, and just people kind of getting more exposed to more cultures, that is applying in enthusiasm niches as well. And I think automotive enthusiasm is a great example of that. So people are beginning to understand that there's more to cars, there's more to performance than straight line speed. And I think you'll see, like right now, America's in a horsepower war, right? With everybody putting a V8 and everything. And then with electric cars kind of exasperating that, because they can get crazy numbers. But I think you'll find that as time goes on, and as we become more of a global society, there's going to be a more of appreciation for drivers focused cars. And I wouldn't consider a straight line car a driver's car, to be honest.
It's not. Yeah, I don't. And of course, you'll have, if any guys are there watching her in the 1320 drag racing stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh man, it takes so much skill to keep the car straight." Like, yes, it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. But it's kind. I would equate it. I'm not sure. Do you follow martial arts at all, or participate in martial arts or anything like that?
I mean, I know. Like, no, I don't. I know what.
Okay. All right. So for like this, the analogy I want to make is just like kind of like mixed martial arts. UFC, I'm pretty sure you heard of UFC and things like that. So mixed martial arts is for guys who don't know, who maybe watching this channel, I do martial arts, but it's a mixture of you got boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, all these different things into one. And I think that's what like a driver like yourself, myself, somebody that goes to like the Tsukuba, Fuji, Suzuka, all these bigger tracks or whatever, Laguna Seca in the States, Burton Willow, for example. If a guy is doing that, there's no doubt the guy can hold the car straight in a straight line and go straight really fast. Taking a guy who just only drag race, it's kind of like being a really good wrestler only, or a really good judo player only, or a really good striker only. Really, really good in those focuses, but if you go into mixed martial arts, unless you get like really lucky in your particular discipline, you're gonna get like really beat up, because you can't kick, you can kick but you can't punch, you can punch but you can't grapple. Different things like that. And that's where I think a lot of guys don't realize, drag racing, to do the NHRA, those alcohol cars, yes, they're very, very, very fast, but it's training. Anybody can be trained to do anything. Guys trained to fly jets. They're not really born to fly a jet. You learn how to fly a jet and everything. I've never been in one, but I mean, it's like I got guys flying jets and they can't really change their spark plugs. Like, so, you know what I mean? It's a learning process. So that's my thing on it with the whole drag racing thing about it, and that being an American, of course. The thing about it, what you just stated, is actually, for me, it's opposite, because I never owned an American car until I got to Japan and I got a Ford Explorer. And that was just to move parts around. I still got an Eddie Bauer edition. Oh. I never owned an American car at all. My first car was a Celica ST. I bought on Craigslist for $400. Never registered. It was a crap car. Then I got an S13 in 2004. But I got straight in. I only was in Japanese environment. My guys I met were Japanese guys. My first cars was Civics. I did the swaps, the EG Civics. So I started with Honda, man. So I never had that. So I always had the 4-cylinder compact, sports compact mindset. So it was crazy for Japanese to figure that out about me and everything. So it's weird.
Yeah, man. I grew up in a drag racing family, right? So for us, it was like the biggest conversation in my household was Ford versus Chevy and why Toyota cars sucked. Like,
yeah.
I honestly thought that Toyotas were.
Hey, your background just went off. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's timed out. It's all good.
Yeah, I can fix it. This is live, right?
Yeah, it's not live.
You want me to just fix that real quick?
I mean, it's up to you, man. You don't have to have it there. It's all good.
I don't. To be honest.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
cool.
We'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I thought Toyotas when I joined or before I came, no, I wouldn't say it was before that. I'd say until I was out of high school, right? I thought Toyotas were Camrys, and that was pretty much it. Like I didn't see value in Toyotas. I knew about the Supra, of course, and I would freak out if I saw one. But generally speaking, I was raised in a brainwashed. My first car was a '98 Cavalier.
No shit. That's funny. This Cavalier '98.
Yeah, and I put like Chevy shaped exhaust pipes on it, and then I had like off-brand racing seats that I put in there, and then they didn't have the harness or the seating bracket for it, so just like drilled the seat to a metal plate, and then the metal plate to the factory rack, and by the time I was in college, it was like rattling around. It was super unsafe. So that's kind of what I grew up in. And it was American. My brother had a Z28 Camaro. Then he had a GTO, and it wasn't until probably after college that I started to get exposed to the import scene, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, and what was it like a buddy you met, or just like something you read, or like you say you mentioned video games a little bit. Did you Gran Turismo at all, or anything like that?
No,
or was it?
Yeah, my brother was into the car games, and he always beat me, so I never actually did a lot of car games either. Like my entry into automotive enthusiasm is completely different from probably most people I know who are into it. It wasn't any of those things. It was just I got a cool car once, and I wanted to get better. Much it.
Yeah.
I'd say my exposure. I'm still not. I wouldn't consider myself a JDM like now because I've lived here for a while. I know more about JDM cars than I do European or American cars, but I'm not a JDM guy. I just get the right tool for the job. That's honestly the kind of guy I am. And JDM cars are kind of really good at just being the right tool for the job. So I have it. But it's the Fiesta opened my eyes to small power and lightweight handling. It taught me what a driver's car could be like, because those cars are kind of famously driver's cars. And then from there, I just opened up doors I started looking at other cars different ways. I was like, could this car be cool? I started thinking about chassis rigidity and and then from there it's all downhill.
Yeah. For me, man, I'm in a position now where, of course I got the shop here. I guess when you become a shop owner, you get into like a different group of people where I get like emails all the time, like, hey, you want this, you want that? Like, yeah, I'll take that. No, I don't want that. In the last 3 months, I don't even post about these cars because it's just like, whatever. I've got a good amount of cars now. Mostly from the fall off from base guys they'll PCS. They can't take the car because it's too old. So they'll take for a lot of WRXs. I got about 4 STI chassis down on my bottom, just stripped out. But they're good car. The chassis are good. I just got to put them back together. So he's like, hey, man, I want the engine. I'll do a little barter. Of course, they'll pay me, but I'll knock off some money for the body, which is about $500 is all it's worth to me. So I'll get the chassis and body. So I got about 15 or 16 cars that are just waiting their turn to get eventually wrecked at some point. And they're just going to get stuff swapped into them and everything. But it's like, for me, man, I if I had to pick like one make and model for life, I think gun on my head it'll be S13. I think it could do just about everything well. It could even do rally and rear wheel drive classes and everything. But I like everything, man. I cannot talk to a Subaru nut or a GT-R nut. They're just annoying to me. I can't talk to those type of people. Yeah. Because they get so fixated on that one thing, man.
The information in front of them is
I just and being a shop owner that doesn't work on only one platform, which I noticed the reason why I don't have a lot of Japanese customers because in their mind they're like, I see a 2J right there, a 1J right there, a rotary right there, a F6A right there, a K6A right there. They see all these engines at my shop. And they just, how do you master? I'm like, dude, they're all nuts and bolts. They're all compression. They all suck air and they all explode. Yeah, that's my theory.
That's actually a kind of a big thing on Japanese culture, right? Is you try to get really good at one thing and you make that your bread and butter.
Exactly.
You get a lot of cool craftsmen like Akira Nakai out of that, right? But in 886, but he does one thing very, very well. I'm sure he's completely all kinds of stuff, but he's famous for this one thing, right? And be pretty prevalent across Japan in all disciplines.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset, man. It's the way I'm pretty. You're from where you're from. I'm from where I'm from, and we all raised like a little bit different, but at the same time, it's under that cloud of America. So it's like you're introduced to multiple things, and just like for example, I built some wooden pallets for my buddy, my shop assistant was leaving out, and my wife, I showed her a picture, and she was like, "You went to school for wood?" I'm like, "No, we were with an uncle, and uncle said pick up a hammer, pick up the saw." And it's like we just, you go to your uncle's house. He's working on a birdhouse or whatever. You do that. You go over your other cousin's house. They're working on a swimming pool. You help install that. And it's like we just get a lot of different things. Where Japanese, that's one of the things you get to see. I get to see. They just get really good at judo. They get really good at computers or whatever. And they're just like horses with shutters, and they don't see anything outside of that. And they're And when they see us being good at multiple, I wouldn't say great at everything, but really good at multiple different things, it blows their mind, man. Like it's crazy, and I'm pretty sure people said that to you.
Well, I mean, I would say I'm the kind of person who is moderately bad at a lot of things.
That's an honest synopsis.
Yeah, man. I'm just trying to do the best with the tools and the talents that I have available to me. It's not much, to be honest. I'm distinctly average across the board. But that doesn't mean I don't have as much fun as the next guy. Yeah.
Right. Is it? I think like I look. I mean, again, the way I analyze things, I think is what put me here. Everybody makes mistakes in life. It's no way to get out this life without making a mistake unless you pass on earlier, as a kid or whatever. You're gonna make mistakes as you get older. And one of my things, coming from Baltimore, I would sit back and analyze people making mistakes. I'm like, hey, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do this. I can see it sucks when that person did that, and I kind of like don't pretend to be perfect, but at the same time, I don't make as many mistakes. Because I'm like, all right, don't do this, don't do that, don't buy a bunch of credit cards, and then like buy TVs and tennis shoes, and that's what people did where I'm from. They will buy clothes. I got a couple of shirts I had back from 2006, 2005. My wife like throw them away. I'm like, dude, it still works. I don't need to buy a new shirt. And she's like, why you got your shopping? You got a decent amount of money. Why are you still wearing this old stuff? I'm like, dude, because I don't care about. That's not my thing. I mean, looking presentable, looking clean is one thing. She got on me about that because I wore some old stained pants one time, and I was like, all right, cool. I got the clothes for when we go out. I don't wear those, and she was really upset that I was going to wear this shirt that had like a little oil stain in the sleeve, and I mean to the point where we're going to break up. And I'm like, dude, we're going to break up. Yeah, dude, like, are we going to break up over this oil stained shirt? Then we're not meant to be. So I had clothes just for that, and I'm like, I'm just not into. I'm a black guy, and everybody assume all black guys are like fancy and all. I'm like, I'm just not into that, dude. It's just not my thing, man. So it's just one of those things right there, man. Whereas everybody's different, and like it's totally different. Everybody's different, but at the same time, I think being on the umbrella of motorsports, we all come together. So I can meet you at the track, never know you, and you got an NA, I got an NB, and we just automatically make that connection. Yeah. And what are you doing? What am I doing? And things like that, man.
Absolutely. So, that's one of the things I'm really trying to encourage with my measly digital presence is I really feel like the thing that a lot of people value in automotive enthusiasm is the community that can build around it, right?
Right.
And a lot of times that community is compromised by our desire to gatekeep and divide our differences. And I really don't think that's a healthy way to move into the future with becoming more and more difficult to own and more of a sacrifice. I mean, I think we should be, if we want to preserve automotive enthusiasm in the future, we need to kind of make it come together as a team.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely believe that I think a lot of things, I believe that, and also I catch myself like if I ever like, man, why the hell is this dude got like -4 degrees of camber and this, that, and the other, and it's like then I'll catch myself in mid critique like, hey, it's his car, man.
Yeah.
Like he's in the cars, he could be like on a corner smoking crack, but he has a car with like this much camber. You know what I mean? It won't make the fastest lap with Tsukuba, but hey, man, he's happy. He's in the cars, and I will catch myself like
it's hard
in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't get that. You won't get that brother who keeps hitting his head on a wall. Stop putting camera on your car.
Yeah, like it's then you see it. What kills me, and here I go. What kills me is when you see an S2000 or you see like a GT-R or you see like something that you know is a really dominant car in time attack with this much camber and it's just slammed. I'm like, dude, you just destroyed the car, dude. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I got S2000. Mine's not like that. Cool. You know, we move on and we do and everything, man. So, I mean, I like wings. Like, I mean, there's functional wings. I like wings for aesthetic purpose. So I get crap on that because I like wings. You know what I mean? People give me crap about that, but it's like, hey, I like the way it looks. You know what I mean? Yeah, the little ones that flop on your trunk are not cool. And now I got the chassis mounted ones or whatever. But it's like, hey, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, I got on my day, I'm on the Vamos, right? And I joke, right?
Yeah.
K-van, but it's rear engine, rear wheel drive. So I tell people it's practically a Lamborghini. And on the roof, one of the reasons why I bought it is because the previous owner had painted the whole van the Hachiroku Panda paint theme, and then he put a massive, ugly, non-functional, heavy, awful wing, like on the roof of it. You know what I mean? I can't get into a lot of parking lots or parking garages because it's too tall.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it to death. That's my daily.
Yeah, I remember you posted up when it was like right after you got it, and it was a car meet. And you was like, "Hey man, what? Nobody's checking out this car right here, man." Yeah. It's like, and you put a video. I think it was.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
but
I think it was Instagram or YouTube
because it's not functional, right? Yeah. But for that purpose, it starts a lot of conversations. People look at me crazy. I get positive and negative attention, and I just love just being that oddball, you know, that crazy guy that people are like, oh, here comes that van again.
Yeah, because you got the I think I pulled you in your Coda, correct? So you pretty sure you know Angelo just got like a van too, which that guy, man, like that dude, man, I want to get him on a podcast. That dude, like, he cannot keep a car for more than like 2.5 months.
And you know what? So I've been trying to get him in the YouTube channel for a while. Actually, I think he's internet gold. But he, So me and him are actually really good friends. And recently he picked up a Suzuki Swift. And,
because you know making it like, Taylor Swift, you call it. Taylor Swift. His name. Yeah.
Because you know he has a history in drift, right? And he's recently getting into grip, and he's got a Swift, which is a front wheel drive front engine car. And he took it to Sly with us, and he just lost his mind. And by the way, he's very fast, and he lost his mind, and he had so much fun. So he took it back, and that week he took an Angelo fashion, right? He pulled out the grind saw. He just starts cutting, and so he's doing some serious weight reduction. He's already pulled the AC out and everything, and he's going full track on that thing, and it's going to be a monster. I think he might hold on to this one for a while.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Because he'll get like he got like I want to look at his photos on his Facebook. He probably got about 50 different, like, here's my new build, because he got a 34, and it was like, man, I always wanted a 4-door 34. Then he had the few crashes and accidents or whatever. Then he got the other car. Then he got the IS, the Telza. Then he got the that dude just. Yeah, that dude just goes through the cars, man. It's like crazy. I want to talk to all my buddies on the podcast, but just bringing him up, just triggering in my mind, man. He'll definitely be
awesome. And it's funny because the Altezza, right? The reason why that happened is because he was like, I got this Altezza. I've got a spare 8.6 front end just laying around. Maybe I'll just. And I'm like, that's sentence. Like you just have a spare 8.6 front end laying around.
Yeah. We've bought and sold a good amount of stuff. The last time we met up, I bought I think a 16 point or something like that S13 roll bar from him, from the 7-Eleven lot and everything, man. So we never got a chance to really hang out. We've always been kind of like meeting up to buy parts from each other. But yeah, man, you're right, man. My channel is not a vlogging channel, and vlogging is very it's a very tedious
process.
It
takes a lot out of it, that's for sure.
A lot of people don't realize how hard Adam LZ has to work and all those guys like that. They make it pretty big in there, but it's a lot of because it takes time to set up cameras and do this versus like getting to it. And I mean, honestly, I do a lot of cool shit every day, and I could have a camera every day, but it's like, hey, I got to work on this, I got to do this, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. No, my channel's different. But props to those guys who do that. But I definitely think like Angelo could definitely have a good YouTube channel, man, with the amount of stuff that he's involved in, the Japanese he knows, and things like that, man. And then the cool thing about grip, man, is it's good for him to see it because a lot of guys don't realize I enjoy grip and drifting equally. Like it's not like one is better. They're both at the higher level. You're following the same line, believe it or not. It's the same line. It's just one is succeeding the coefficient of friction.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing that's it's interesting, it goes back to what you were saying about the martial arts, right? I think that applies 100% with drift and grip. You can be really good at grip, but you can't drift. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've seen a bunch of best motoring videos where they do the challenge.
Yeah,
and they'll take it was Imamura, who everybody knows that drives the Apex RX-7, and he was champion level drifter, but they went out to grip and he could not. It looked horrible, and then eventually he got Japanese. He got focused on it and he became a really good grip driver. But I don't know if it went anywhere, but he really focused on becoming I'm like, dude, why is it so hard to grip drive? And it's like, wait a minute, Japanese are just really, really good in that one area, man. So it just tripped me out. Yeah.
Yeah. Angelo and I talk about the differences between grip and drift a lot because he's significantly better than me at both, but he comes from drift, right? And one thing I think he's taught me is I need to learn how to drift a little bit, because when you get familiar with controlling a car beyond your tire friction coefficient, right, you can apply that knowledge and that feeling really well to your grip experience or even your road experience. Just like I encourage people, and I'll probably send my daughter to autocross if she'll let me. Tracks makes you a better driver on the streets. I think drift will make you a better grip driver having that experience. I don't know that it works grip to drift. Like, I don't know how, maybe lines.
Well, go ahead and finish your
thought. Sorry. Yeah. I didn't have much else to say. I was thinking maybe lines transfer over to drift, but I know drift easily transfers over.
The on that right there, actually, from a guy who's done both of them, the autocross single-handedly made me a better drifter because it helped me to aim. Like when I went to before autocross, I did 2 drift events, actual legal, because I was doing a bunch of stuff on the street. So when I did my first drift event, I realized how bad I am at it, because it's like you have to follow a line, which I didn't know nothing about lines. I knew nothing about none of that stuff. And so getting on the autocross, and like after I like stopped dicking around and stopped trying to like pseudo drift and stick to gripping, like I noticed when I went back to my next drift event, my aiming and my line control was just like it just went overnight up. So like the gripping definitely helps a drifter, I think, follow line, but at the same time, like the drifting, going to grip, for example, if you go to Tsukuba, you do the first corner or the last corner, there's a point if you follow a different line where you can kind of step it out a little bit. There's a point if you know how to drift, you can actually hold that instead of being. Some people, when they get into a slide, they want to correct, and it makes the car it makes the car unstable. If you lose traction or your tires are getting hot, if you start to slide out, you just kind of like, let up the throttle a little bit, and you kind of like smoothly, I guess, slide. You're losing time, of course, but then you continue on straight. Instead of being like irky jerky feeling, it's more smoother coming out the apex, coming in and out, in to out entry into a corner apex. It would be more smoother, but you don't want to do that. But if it happens, you got those skill sets to pull back, like, all right, okay, drifting now, and then back to grip, and you continue on.
Yeah, exactly. I was watching Angelo's laps, because I actually like to watch Angelo's laps to try and get better at my own lines. And one of the things I noticed from him was he likes to flick his wrist and do it into the corner and get a real late apex. I was like, man, I'm gonna. Yeah. So now, my next time I go out slide, I'm gonna give it a go. And I think that comes from his drift experience. Yeah. So I'm gonna give that a go. But I'm always watching other people and see what they're up to and try and learn what I.
Yeah.
I learned real quick that I'm not as hot as I think I am, and then I made
man, it's all good, man. I actually was planning on to I mean, honestly, man. I mean, this goes without saying, all this crap that's going on with the this year with the COVID stuff. This year the events have been canceled left and right. I actually had an event canceled that I was promoting that got canceled. I was looking to take my S13, the V8 out there, which is, that thing is, I don't really want to sell it, but it might get sold. And the customer's R33, single turbo upgrade and all that good stuff. And I was going to take those out there and showcase my shop and all that stuff. But that got canceled. I haven't really done, honestly, since I started my shop, I haven't done many events because I've been focused so much on growing my business. But it's going up and it's kind of stabilizing for the first level. So I'll be able to return to pro driving this 2021. Oh, no. Hopefully everything goes back. So saying that, pro driving is cool. I'm not really fixated on the whole pro. It's cool. It's a cool chip, I guess, on the board. But I like driving with guys. Like when I went to Jay and all those guys, I met the dude. I met Ryan. Ryan had the Civic. The other guy had the Integra. So I met all those guys, man. And it was just like that for me is more enjoyable than, doing like a major event and all that stuff and TVs and stuff. It's cool, but it's just not it's not a lot of money there, to be honest. And my thing is just my automotive shop and everything, and using the track to display what I have. That's what I do it for and everything. So I will get my grip license professionally because it's just something I want to do. To stop saying pro-am and stuff like that, and I want to do that. So I focus so much on drifting. Now I got the pro license. Now I'm like, I instantly didn't care about it once I got it. So that out there shows you guys, you want to get something that is cool, but once you get it, I don't get into clubs for free. I don't do I'm not an A-list celebrity. It's just another dude with a piece of plastic that says pro drifter. It's like, cool, dude. You got Lego sets and baseball cards too, and it's like, it doesn't really matter, dude. You know what I mean? So all that jabbering I just did, pretty much just saying I'm going to see you guys a lot more, especially before UPCS. So I'll be doing at least one or two events a month with you guys, and try to build, meet new guys and do some stuff. And also now that Angelo's doing grip, get out there and mix up with him, because all my drift guys, it's like when I go grip, I'm alone. So I'm just doing grip. So like I got my grip buddies and I got my drift buddies. I don't have any grip drift buddies.
Yeah, Angelo could be that. Yeah, we in Dakota's car scene, automotive scene, and Zama too. Actually, Zama Yokosuka. So they kind of all get mixed together in my mind. But it's growing toward grip. Like Race Life Japan is popping, and we're getting a lot of people coming out to events. I think I'm excited for the future. So I think you'll find a lot of those kinds of friends down here.
Yeah. How much time you got left in Japan without getting opposite?
Oh yeah, sure. 1 year around. Could I?
1 year. Yeah. That's a good amount of time, man. So we'll definitely link up, man. Like I said, we haven't cool thing about this. We've been like Facebook buddies for a little bit, and it's like a lot of guys that I was at Angelo. I was friends with him for like about 3-4 years before we actually met the first time. Which first time meeting him was at the 7-Eleven, because that's our meeting spot. The 7-Eleven by the it's like, come out the main gate, you make the right, and it's like a little bit down from AFG, and we meet in that parking lot. And because I always normally have a big truck, and my first time meeting him was picking up the Hachiroku. I got Yoshioka's Hachiroku from him that sits on my container right now and everything. So that was our first time meeting, and I took the Hachiroku from him, and I went to Mount Akina or Mount Haruna with a Hachiroku on the back of a trailer, because why not? And it was snowing, and I'm drifting a truck in the snow, and almost got stuck and almost went off the mountain.
I've been there.
Yeah. So yeah,
almost in Alaska. Not a good feeling.
Yeah, no, it's not. When you're looking down, it's like, oh, those are the lights in the enemy. Like, now I'm about to go crash off the mountain and everything. But the truck was yeah, dude, it was man, like driving on a track, I think gives you a situation awareness that most people don't have. I had the truck and I had the car in the back of it. I got stuck in this small little community, and I drive tractor trailers for the Air Force. So driving big trucks in small places, Iraq and all that stuff was good. OJT,
tough job.
But yeah. So I spent 3 years in Iraq doing all that stuff, convoys and all that good stuff, and there was this one point, man, it was a straight ice, and I looked over before I went down the hill. I got out the truck and I looked down the hill. If I would have put 2 wheels over that crest, I would have slid about maybe 200 yards down the hill, ice into like a house. Like it was like, dude, it was like it looked normal, and then over the hill is just straight down. Like I'm like, bro, it would be no stopping anything. The only thing I'll probably do to save myself is turn it sideways and wedge the truck in between a wall and a house to stop it from going all the way down the hill. And I would have probably did that to not go all the way down the hill at max speed and then crash into something. I would have definitely died, for sure. But I mean, not putting out anything, man. What was your most any close calls you've had out there and about, man, without incriminating yourself?
Yeah. So I'd say the closest call.
Don't give no locations.
Yeah.
This Mexico.
Yeah, the closest call I had was not in Japan. I can tell you that. And I was coming back from an event, and sorry, Mom. And I was driving far faster than I should have been for a downhill slope in a mountainous environment, and it was one of those situations where you have 2 mountains and a downhill slope with a bridge on the bottom in the valley, and it connects the 2, and you go up again once you cross into the next mountain. It was a tiny little bridge. And there was and I was like, oh man, I just did all this track experience. I know what a car feels like. I was about it, right?
Yeah.
And I was going downhill, and I hit this dirt patch. And this is why I never go. I always say you never go 10/10 on the street. You only go 7/10, right? So I hit this dirt patch, and I felt the wheels just slide, and I just lost. I could feel. I didn't I didn't lose control of the car because I was going in the same trajectory, but I could feel everything got loose, and I was coming down, and I had to do a slow curve into this bridge, and I'm very high up. And I thought I was gonna die. I was like, well, I honestly thought I was gonna die. I managed to control regain control of the car before I got to the bridge, because I didn't panic, right, and I didn't make any sudden movements, and I just maintained my trajectory, and before I got to the point where I needed to change the trajectory, I was able to get traction. But if I was, say, a normal driver who didn't have any track experience, maybe when that happened, I would have panicked and jerked a wheel or tried to slam the brakes, and then that would have pulled all the weight off the back of the car, and I had fun, right? And that was a scary moment. That was probably, other than motorcycle stuff, like, because I've crashed motorcycles a lot. I don't ride them anymore. Other than motorcycle stuff, that's probably the closest I've been to losing it in a car. Anyway, ATVs, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's like it seems like the ATVs. I've ridden a couple of them, man. It's low speed, but it seemed like that's just like the thing to do, to fall off of those. Like you're doing wheelies and jumping off of dunes and stuff like that, and you just kind of almost always fall off of those, man. That's one, like with bikes, man. It's not I kind of feel bad. I think the biggest bike I rode, and it's like a major hit to the manhood. The biggest bike I rode by myself was like, I think maybe 150 cc's. Like bikes have just never. I mean, they're cool, but I think being 37, I think it's a little bit too late to get started in them.
I don't recommend it. I enjoy going to onsens because my legs are covered in scars, and I get all kinds of looks. Because I've broken so many bones. I've had bones on the outside. I've filleted my leg like a fish. I should be dead on several occasions. And ATVs and motorcycles are a big part of that.
Yeah, man. It sucks because like it's one of those things where like you're in a car, you crash, depending on the speed, trajectory, and all that stuff, you're still surrounded by metal glass and all and airbags if they're enabled. Because that's one thing out there, guys who are watching. If you go to the track, pull an airbag sensor because that'll suck to have a little low end crash and then your dash and shit pop out because the ABS sensor got triggered. So ABS, and I say ABS, but airbags, airbags and stuff like that are disabled. But yeah, man, that would you don't have that. But I know they got the bike stuff everywhere now. I guess when the guys fall off, which I never seen anybody use or wear, where it's like it's an airbag on yourself and it's supposed to. I guess maybe you're tethered to the bike.
And if I've never seen that before. It's like a cartoon. It's
yeah. It's just like I never seen anybody use it. I guess maybe it didn't get enough money on Kickstart.
Yeah, maybe it's expensive to. And I imagine there would be some safety concerns there because, just like with any kind of significantly quick inflatable device, it's going to have a lot of force to it, right? I wonder if there is some issue. Because you got a helmet on, so if you're pushing.
It could push up to break your pop your head off. So I can imagine. It's like I can imagine that. Yeah. It's been like with the bike stuff, man. It's actually right when I got here. I think about a year and a half before I got here, one of my operators actually on the back roads here in Masawa, man. I think he had a long shift and they said he was good rider and something happened, man. He just went off the road, broke his neck, died. Then it was like a bunch. I don't want to get all gory, man, but it was since I've been here in Masawa, there's been three decapitations, from guys. This one guy had a bike and he wanted to go home and switch out because it started to rain. And on a ride home, he was going to ride home, get his car, and come back to work. And on the ride there, something happened, laid it down, and the rest of history. It's just like bikes, man, I think bikes, if you're not into it at a young age or early on, it's just kind of a bad thing to get into later on in life because you got these different, habits and different things, especially if you're racing, you want to go fast. You figure because I could drive a car this fast, I should be able to get on a Hayabusa and go. Not really. Let's go back to the
It's a whole different set of cojones. Do crazy stuff on a Hayabusa versus stuff in the car. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Then you get the guys who got the turbo nitrous Hayabusa. Dude, how fast do you really want to go? How fast do you want to go and how quickly do you want to get there? It's
at some point it seems unnecessary to me. I can't speak to that kind of stuff. But my dad probably can. I don't have any cousins, right? And a big reason for that is because I grew up in a motorcycle family. And my mom was the only of her siblings who made it long enough to have kids. And sucks, with the exception of one person. So I don't have any cousins. And motorcycles are a big part of that. That being said, they all still ride and they love motorcycles. It's
just one of those things, man. You can't. It's a weird thing we're into. You bring up reason why it's in my mind because one of the cars I was worked on, it had a Paul Walker sticker on it, and it was his birthday, I think 73 to 2013, and it said it was a caption that he said. It was something about if I die doing something, blah blah blah. Don't. It was a quote. I'm pretty sure everybody's know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to butcher it. But it's one of those things, man, where we do something that's very dangerous when we're on the track. We don't feel like it because we're really safe. We make sure all ball joints and tie rod ends are safe. Most people. You mentioned that you went there on the dry ride tires, so I was yeah, that's a little bit of that bike flavor, man. You dude, it runs, it starts. I'm gonna go. I got 4 wheels. I got two more wheels than normal, so I'm pretty good, man. But we do something that's very dangerous, and we don't think about it until somebody crashes, wrecks pretty hard. And he was like, oh, man, that good, fire extinguisher is good. A good, real legal seat is good. Not the one that you had in the Cavalier is not good enough for the FIA events. So we're safe, but it is dangerous, man. And for me, it's just because I do martial arts, I do different things, and I play a lot of high-level sports. I play college football. There's a mental switch where most people, they have to build up to it. For me, it's just I can get in the car and switch on, and I'm in full race 110% mode, and it doesn't take me hard enough. It don't take me long to get there. A few laps, warm up, and then you're locked in. So it's one of those things where, and you're not thinking about, I got kids, man. You're not thinking about anything but that apex. And that's a weird thing, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure your family members, man.
Sorry. Yeah. It's very much like kind of that fight or flight kind of mentality. You get into this mindset where you're like, this is my objective and nothing else matters right now, which can be good.
Yeah. It's weird, man. Yeah. It can be good. It can be good. Definitely got to have that if you want to beat Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
So, you can't be in an F1 car and be like, I think, no, everybody, actually, that's a bad now, because everybody in the F1 car, they know to go. It's just that every teams they got more money, more stuff like that. So it's not equal at all. F1, you follow F1 NASCAR and those guys?
I want to.
Yeah.
These days, I just don't have time, and I feel like I have this inferiority complex. Like I feel like how am I really an automotive enthusiast if I don't follow F1? Like I know who Lewis Hamilton is, and I know who a few of the name guys are from my attempts to kind of get into that.
It's just it's too many, man.
Yeah.
It's too many, and they're the way they package F1. To be really honest, I just started following it recently because I have some guys on, and they bring up F1. I'm like, I know more about the older school guys than the new guys, because it's like, so much stuff out there. You got Instagram, all this stuff. It's just too much. It's too much. It's just too much out there, man. It's like if you try to put everything in your head, you'll be an incomplete person, man. I just think you won't know anything. So I did watch the F1 thing on Netflix, and that kind of sped me up into like the drama and what's going on and why Red Bull teammates will get along and why everybody. So that the Netflix joint was pretty good. I'm still in the first one.
That's the one that's why I know who Lewis Hamilton is, because I watched the Netflix.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it a lot. I just watched it a little bit.
Yeah. This is crazy, man. Like teammates battle each other. Like they're not your teammates, quote unquote, but you're supposed to win, or they're gonna replace the other one, the guy that doesn't win.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, man. And I watched the Atron Senna deal, and how the drama with that and leading up to his death and stuff like that. Which again, nobody expected him to die that day. It just was a crazy accident on the track. He's driven multiple times, and
that's how it always goes, isn't it? That's kind of the scary thing that we all kind of have to understand is, you have to pay to play, and you're taking that risk every time you get out there, because you never know what's going to happen, what somebody else is going to do.
Yeah, even on the track, man, it's like it's one of those things where, of course, if you're Toge, which I know you know a lot of. I heard Yokota is cracking down on the guys coming through the gate with like busted up cars and stuff like that. Because I've heard the stories of guys like leave out with a clean chaser and come back with a bumper hanging off.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, the gate guards don't. I don't know how much I can say, but the gate guards aren't kind to obviously enthused vehicles, and they keep coming up with all these crazy, really inconvenient security measures at the gates that we have to kind of like deal with. We've got these spikes right now that rip off parts of cars and stuff.
I seen a Supra. I was down there about this is about a year ago, and I seen a Supra that was just parked. It was like, you go to the main gate off of Route 16, and the I guess there's a little PAX terminal right there. So it was a Supra parked right there, and I'm like, and I was getting my vehicle checked in to do something on base, and I was like, dude, what's up with the car right there? He's like, oh yeah, that dude he got cited for it was too loud, so they made him park the car right there.
Oh, that's hardcore. They don't usually make you park it. Yeah.
So they made. I was like, what? And he's like, I guess it got impounded. They made him leave it there, and I guess vehicle officer pick it up and take it to the impound lot.
Yeah, and he has to. I'm not too clear in that whole process, but they kind of confiscate the car to some degree. I don't know the details of it, but I was talking to somebody who had that happen. Like he was watching a buddy's car or something, right? And the car was sitting too long, and they thought it was abandoned, so they impounded it. It's a struggle. That's kind of goes into what I was saying. Like if you want to preserve automotive enthusiasm, like find ways to do it responsibly. Otherwise, we're gonna lose. Yeah, we're gonna lose rights. That we're slowly losing more and more rights to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a maturity thing because again, I'm 37. There was a time, and I was talking to a guy about this other day. There was a time when I thought I would never get tired of having like a loud obnoxious car, and like the last 5 or 6 years, I had a Civic, all-wheel drive Civic, Toyota Ipsum, my Odyssey that I bought eventually when I have 3 kids now, and then I bought the Odyssey, so I was driving that almost daily. Now I drive daily a Stager, the 6-speed, pretty much 350G.
Yeah, 260 RS.
The 350.
Oh, different one. 350. Okay, new one. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the 350Z inside of a wagon. It's the same engine, 6-speed transmission. So I drive that daily. So I am driving manual daily, and I use it for like I just put stuff in the back of it to haul it around. Yeah. So that's my daily driver, and it's quiet. It starts up. It drives. It got the I got pink wheels on it, but that's about it.
Little personality, a little personality in a sea of practicality.
Yeah,
right.
Just a little bit, man. And it's like so when I go out to town and I see the 21-year-old guy in a nice S13, which I know he's not a drifter because it's way too clean. And but he look at me like, oh, I got an S13. I just give him a little nod, and that's it. And it's like before I used to get annoyed when I would be in a regular car and I pull up and there's an S13. I'm like, fuck, I got an S13 back home.
Yeah. Like I want you to know that I'm with,
yeah.
I kind of feel that way in the van too, and that's part of the reason why I enjoy the eccentric look of the van.
Because it still sticks out.
Because people know, oh, that guy knows, like even though it's my practical car.
It's still not regular, and it's like some things. Even when a regular car, like I got my K truck with Mark IV. SSR wheels on it, and it's just like, and the over fenders, like why do I got that on the K truck? Because and I got stickers all over it, and it's just like one of those things where people they'll kind of see stuff on it to realize that's probably not your only car, and you're probably like not a normal car driver, because a normal guy has a silver K car with black stillies on it, and that's it.
And they're taking like 10 seconds to come off the green light.
Yeah, that old man, dude. How do you being a skilled driver, because you're a skilled driver no matter if you don't believe it or not, when you go to park somewhere and you watch somebody, like, dude, why the fuck does it take you 10 minutes to park?
It's hard. It is, yeah. I definitely struggle with that because usually they'll be doing it when like I'm trying to get by them. And they have to block the whole thing, because usually it's a crossover, right, or a wagon or something. But wagon in Japan, but in America, it's almost always it's going to be a crossover that's doing this, and then it's just like, why you got to have this big car and drive so bad and be in an eye? Like,
you could tell they suck at geometry, because it's like. Parking and driving is like really like live geometry, like especially when you're drifting. And actually, a weird thing, I failed out of college because I couldn't pass algebra.
I failed
algebra 101.
Well, I didn't fail, but algebra was really hard for me. I feel you.
Yeah, but geometry I did in high school. Geometry I aced it I got like 80 whatever. But geometry because it was shapes and
visual,
finding the shape But the theory and finding shit that the I guess the variables is like, dude, we're just like we're doing like algebra to me is like what if.
Yeah, it's a practice in theory, right? And it's just like it's hard to find the motivation to practice something that may not ever exist, and you're just dealing with abstract concepts. But with geometry, it's like, oh, this makes sense to me. If I want this box to go here, let's do that. Yeah.
And for me, it just did well with for example, pretty sure you probably seen some stuff of me with the Subaru. I converted it to a truck. Maybe you saw a picture of it. But when I made the wing box and everything, dude, I made all that. I measured. It came out 100% level, because I just could see like the pipe has to go here, the upright has to go here. So like seeing, that's one of I guess is an inherent skill set, but seeing shapes, like, I mean, I measure things, but I can kind of look at something and kind of find an angle, and just by looking at it, it's just, I don't know what it is. But I suck at algebra. Basic math I'm good at math. I mean, for case in point, computer repair electronics was my skill in high school. So finding the voltage or the voltage drop in a particular point of a circuit, or why this is doing that, or why you only have 10 volts here when it's supposed to be 12 volts, or a 5-volt drop, or whatever. That stuff to me is easy because I can apply the formula of, you know, what to get the resistance, to get stuff like that. So that stuff was easy, but because it's going to a purpose. But the variable stuff and the what if stuff, I couldn't grasp it. I didn't want to grasp it. I could have, I just didn't want to. So
it's a different kind of thought process, right? Yeah. And it's hard to find why you should put so much effort into something when you can't see what it's actually doing. Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, and I never used a variable to balance my checkbook. It's like it's either there or it's not. It's like the money's in your bank or it's gone.
Yeah, what I do honestly is like I think, okay, so this time last month I had this much money, so that means I spent too much money this month. So let me go ahead and dial that back.
Yeah, man, that's like I think look, going into like the elections coming up and stuff like that, and all the different stuff. I don't know if it's on purpose they do that, but I think I'm from Baltimore City. They didn't spend any time on interest rates. I never heard the word interest rate in my high school, middle school ever. I never heard. I mean, of course, we had the little thing where they showed us how to write a check, but who writes checks now?
No.
So it's like you write it, you put a line through it so they can't put any more words on it. You sign it on the back, but I haven't written a check in my life. The skills that they taught us, man, is like I didn't use none of that stuff, and it's like, you know, now being a business guy, like they never taught us about adding percentages. They never taught us about different things that you really use in everyday life. More so, I know you know a lot of guys on that base that got those high interest rate loans to buy a $20,000 car that needs another $25,000 to fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like you would think that with the prices going up into 30s, you would start to see less of them, but you don't. They're just getting bigger loans. It's kind of alarming, the interest rates some of these guys are looking at, because mine was really low, and I was still looking at what I was paying in interest with a little bit of a cringe, and I had 700 for the credit score going into that, so I don't want to think about what some of these people are paying for these cars.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Air Force. But the Army dudes, man, I know you see the memes of the dudes paying these. I was on a maintenance website, and the guy was paying like 30. He was paying $8,000 more than the car value. I think more than that, maybe understatement, but the rate was so high, and the car was like it wasn't even like it was like a basic regular car. It wasn't even like a V8. It was just like a regular, like a
V6 Charger or something.
No, it wasn't even. I mean, it wasn't even that. It was just like some kind of regular car. Like a Dodge Intrepid, like class. It wasn't Intrepid, but it was one of those cars that would fit in that class. I'm like, dude, you're paying this much money. Like, at least get a goddamn Corvette or something. Like something that's worth, you know, not even worth it, but you know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of people who fall into that, right? They don't realize what's available. Like you can get a Porsche for $20,000 or $20,000 or less. You can get a C4 Corvette for 5 to 10. People don't realize that what's available for them, because they associate the brand with the value of the car, right? So they think, well, I'm going to have to get an Explorer. So they go and buy a 2-year-old Explorer. And they'll get a loan for like 12% interest or something, right? And they're paying like 30, 40 grand for an SUV that's meh. And when they could have got like, if they were to go a little more used or pick it a little better, they could have had something really interesting. For that, I mean, there's a lot of car out there for that amount of money.
Dude, speaking of that, man, that's why you're talking about that, man. Like, say, like, let's play some theory that, even though we don't like that too much. Like, let's say, like, you have somebody give you $25K right now. Like, what's and you spend it 3 times. What's something that you would buy that you don't already own? What's a car that you would buy for $25K? Like, I would say your top 3 right now. Like, if you had $25K and what
all right.
you get?
So, am I stuck to cars in Japan or just global?
Nah, anything, man.
Okay,
global.
So if I had 25K right now, I would.
I would say street car, like not a F1
reasonable
chassis, which
car.
I'm looking at one right
now.
Yeah.
Okay. It would be honestly, that decision would be very easy. Top 3. First choice is a used GLA Mercedes GLA AMG 45. It's like a grown-up hatchback. They're considered a CUV, but it's more like a hatchback. They have nice dual clutch transmission, and I believe something like 300 horsepower. They're nice and snorty. I really like the way they feel. It's kind of an enthusiast car, but I can get the daily stuff done in comfort. If you get the older ones, it doesn't have its touchscreen, I don't think, which I'm kind of partial to. I'm jamming one in my Miata. So, second choice would be the 3-pot Fiesta ST from Europe. Hands down, that would be it. Starting 2017, I believe. They went down to a 3-cylinder, and they finally got a limited slip differential, which I'm very excited about. If I kind of still fantasize about importing one of those to Japan when I settle down here, to be honest. And the third choice would be a Kia Stinger GT. They are below $30,000 now, by the way, used. And I don't know if you can get them in Japan, but I feel like if you could get a bargain on it because the nature of Japanese perception of Korean manufacturers. But I won't get into that. But essentially, I feel like Kias you could really upset a lot of people with a Kia Stinger GT here.
Yeah, I think definitely. What's your last? Was that 2 or 3?
Yeah, I can do more.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're going to get one more bonus one, man. What
all right, so the bonus one would be the Veloster N. Yeah, Car and Driver's recent performance car of the year, beat out McLaren and everything. Performance car of the year, too much controversy, but it definitely suits me.
Yeah, a lot of times with a lot of the cars, man, it's like, again, guys will have in their mind that car they want. It'll be like again, for me, it was like GTR. When I got to Japan, something changed and I didn't get the GTR. But it's like when people spend that money on now, you got the JZXs coming up, JZX90, JZX100. Everyone wants a chaser now, and they're doing that stuff. But it's like when you spend that money, then you realize there's so many other cars out there that you can get that's not like that. And most guys, I export now, so all I export is RX-7, GTR. It's just like, and now the Subarus, the GCA Subarus are coming of age, so now those are starting to pop up now. Yeah, which they're I like.
I'm surprised it took so long.
But it's like, it's so many cars, man, that you can get. And then what I do is I go on GooNet. I should stop doing this. Normally when I'm on the toilet and everything, so I go there. So right now I'm looking at an F3. I'm looking at an F3, a Formula 3 car that has a B18 in it. And I'm like, why the fuck do I need a Formula 3 car?
Because it screams.
But it's like, I want to get it. And it's like, it's actually somewhat affordable, but I couldn't buy it because I got an NSX I got to put together. I got 2 Pro cars I got to put together. And this is like, I could buy this car right now, but then it's like, it's like, it would be cool, dude. So, honestly, if it's still there and like maybe by springtime, I might buy it, dude, and then bring it down to.
So now you're starting to sound like Angelo.
Yeah, well, dude, I got currently 38 cars right now.
God, that's nuts. I would have if someone had told me they had 38 cars like 7 years ago, I would have told them they were a liar. There's no way.
Yeah, but but I would in the guys that are series bragging, only 12 of them run.
Well, you're a shop, right? So that makes sense.
Yeah. So so it's like I don't have time to fix them. So they just kind of I got my own personal junkyard. So I kind of end up I pull a part off and then I make a note on the window like alternator, starter, and now I'm like, dude, eventually it's just like I'm just gonna put something else in it. I got a couple of RX-7s outside. Again, it's easy for the guys to understand under the SOFA agreement. Just talking to the general guys in Japan, if you're a single guy, you can only have one car.
Yeah.
You guys may do the waiver, but Masawa does the waiver on and off.
Yeah, same kind of thing. It just depends on who's in charge.
They mess it up. Yeah, and also like the guys who they get the waiver, then have the car on base, no JCI, no road tax, no insurance. Bad. So it goes up and down. If you're a married guy and your wife's not in the cars to drive, you cool because you have 2, one for your wife, one for you. And then the mill guys is cool because you can take 2 cars home. You can sell one and keep one.
They're a little
investing.
They can I know a couple guys who've taken advantage of that. They're like, oh, my wife drives a JZX. Yeah. I'm like, well, I know people whose wives do drive JZX.
Yeah.
But like when she suddenly started driving one right before you went back to the States, all right, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think nobody from TMO is watching, but it'd probably be cool they are. But then it was, guy, and it's legal, but guys who now they're doing they're like dudes who are not in their cars at all, I'm like, dude, that's a free slot to take a car. So now they're throwing it on the guy's HHGs, and I guess they pay him a couple of dollars or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's I don't know anybody who does that, and if they did, they wouldn't tell me. But that's kind of like when I'm driving around town here, and I see like a house with covered parking, and there's like a I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really generic, like a Suzuki Wagon R or something parked in there. I get mad, man. I get like unreasonably upset because I'm like, that could be an enthusiast house. And you're putting that there?
You guys have, I mean, dude, if you came to Masawa, man, I had my guy come from Yokosuka the other day, dude, he was blown away at the space, the everything, man. Have you been to Masawa before?
I really want to. That's definitely on my list, top of my list, actually.
Yeah, please. I mean, I come down. I drive down that way about 3 times a month. I just kind of am in and out, and I drive. I was just at Robbie's shop.
Nice. Working on his 8.6.
I was like, it was. He was actually, when I came there, he was taking his son Joey to do something. I was dropping off a car for Ken. I'm not sure if you know Ken, but he was doing the Formula Drift announcing. Ken Harris.
No, I don't think. I've heard the name. He's part of like cars. Yeah. He runs a Facebook group, doesn't he?
I think so, but he's announcing with Robbie at Formula Drift right now. But I bought a car down for him from up here. So I mean, Masawa, man, like definitely, if you ever get a chance to come up, I got cars, so we can hit the track. You don't have to drive your car or whatever. But we got from where I'm at right here, I got MSP 45 minutes away, and I got ASP, which is a full up grip track. That's about an hour away.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the track scene up there because how is it? I mean, again, I can literally stop this podcast, hop in my car, and I could be at the track in 45 minutes. Awesome. You know, quicker. You know, so I mean, it's a lot. From Masawa, it is secluded, but I like it, man, because dude, like, I've been out to Yokota a bunch, and Route 16 is not fun, man. Like, no, it's not.
And you agree, like your facial expressions mean you agree with that.
I live in Tachikawa, right? And I commute through Route 16. And it's not fun. It's pretty miserable. Yokota, it sucks. Yokota isn't like first track proximity for the Kanto plains is a good place to be. But driving anywhere around this place is just absolutely awful.
Yeah, when you put in your MapQuest, I'm old, man. I say MapQuest.
I remember MapQuest.
You remember going places with it. You
always second guess yourself halfway through.
Because that was crazy. Like, it's crazy. Being like, I was one of those guys where I was like, man, I don't need GPS. And then I got, actually in the military, I was LVC. So I was a navigator. I navigated all over Iraq. So I can go to Iraq right now and drive all in Iraq. At nighttime, daytime, it looks different. But at nighttime, I can drive all in Iraq and everything. So that's whatever. But dude, without GPS, man, I wouldn't be able to. The how crazy the highway is in Tokyo and all of the different on and off ramps, and I'm pretty sure you've been you're supposed to be on a bottom and you're on the top one, and it's like it keeps saying make a U-turn. Like, dude, I can't make a U-turn.
Shoot, man, Daikoku Futo's like that. It's like if you GPS it, it'll take you to a truck stop, or not a truck stop. It'll take you to like a factory underneath the actual parking area. It's just like, well, I don't even.
Have you missed the exit?
Oh
before?
I get so stressed out with the tolls here. I know a lot of like the guys who do that kind of stuff, like the Daikoku, the C1 loop runs and like all the stuff, the turnpikes and all that. I don't actually do a whole lot of that because the tolls just stress me out too much, and I just hate it. I just stay in the mountains. I stay in the mountains and I stay on the track. And I only go down there to the more mainstream Japanese stuff when I want to meet friends or something, because I get mad, like really mad. I just get so upset because I spent $80 on wrong turns. Where in the world can you spend $80 on wrong turns?
Dude, it's crazy, man. That from you guys, from your toll gate, wherever. Because actually, if you come up here, if you bring a group of guys, sorry about that, the Kanetsu Express will be because you kind of you come to, I guess you leave out of Yokota, you would go to the you would go like, I guess going towards the round one, and you would get on right there and then catch the Kanetsu. Is Kanetsu, I think?
I don't know, because I usually take the Chuo or the Kino line or the Kino? Is that what you're talking about? The Kino?
Well, the Kent no, it's actually Kent. The can is new. It's a can. It's whatever. Yeah. So that one. So you got the main Tokyo gate with the big long gate where everybody gets stuck there when they first knew and they don't know how to merge into the traffic. So you go around all that crap and then you come out by Nikko.
Oh, okay.
So you go around all that crap and you come out by Utsunomiya and then you can go to Nikko or you can get on the Tohoku Toll Road. So if you come up there, that's the way you'll take because you'll bypass all that crap, man, and you'll just get right. You'll go over that stuff and it'll be.
So you don't want to take the Tohoku Toll Road.
Not you don't want to get on from the main big toll gate in Tokyo because that one you just driving to that toll gate and then getting on you're funneling all that traffic so you skip unless you want to hit the rest stops down there for whatever reason but you can go around all that crap and then you can pretty much get on the toll road when it's like 2 lanes.
Oh, okay.
And then it's smooth. So right at Utsunomiya, then of course Nikko is next. Then have you guys been up to the new track at not new track Sunrise?
No,
Circuit?
I saw your post about it though, and I'm excited to try it. But I haven't been
nice,
out.
Man.
Last I heard, it was not ready for public use yet.
No, is it? No, it's ready. It's just that the problem there, man. And the guy hits me up randomly. I'm like, dude, I can't just hop on it. I can do it, but I'm not gonna do it because I'm disciplining my business. But hey, man, we got a drift event tomorrow. This time, like, dude, no. I'm not ready for that and everything, and I got stuff.
It's always last minute too, right?
They don't do a good job of updating their website, and also they're trying to do like the Fuji thing where they're trying to I'm like, how much is a session? Oh, the one session is like Junie Mon. I'm like, dude, I'm not paying $1,200 for $1,200 US. I'm not trying to rent the track out, so they're only in rentals. So they're trying to do the Tsukuba thing where you can't just go to Tsukuba.
Yeah.
Guys out there who don't know, you can't just go to Tsukuba.
They'll get the track
organizers
to rent it out, and then
So Tsukuba, MSP, ASP My Tracks, we can do that. I can say, hey, me, Kyle, want to rent out the track, we just go there. So it's
I bet there's some business in there for a business-minded foreigner like yourself too, because for us track guys. We I don't know how much business, but we have to go through a couple different track organizers who rent out the track and then they pay us a price and they bring a team and they do briefings and all that stuff, right? They host a track day and we pay them. The issue that
per IZ with us and all with
those are the two big ones, and with the issue we run into, those two are the only ones we can find who accept American credit cards or debit cards, and even then everything's Google Translate, and it's just coordination is rough. That's why Jay was trying to get in with them as kind of like a representative of English speakers, because there's a growing foreign market in Japan, right? Because you have your domestic workforce that's going down. They're going to start looking toward foreign workforces, and with that you're going to have foreign enthusiasm. So English is going to become a bigger part of Japan's future. And I think there's a space for an English-speaking track organization company. Maybe not yet, but I think there will be a space for that.
Yeah, even with that, you'll still it'll having the like I know that's definitely a good idea, having a guy as a front runner, being like, for example, a guy like Andrew Gray at BC, but he's doing his thing already at BC. He got that stuff going on. It would definitely be something good for a guy down there that's in that area. That don't like, for me, honestly, with my performance business and now the export stuff, man, I'm 110. Yeah, I'm pretty smart, man, with that stuff. But I mean, but at the same time, it's one of those things where because my business is only 5 years old, going to 5 years old this January. There's like so much. I mean, every year is upgrade, and you go up and up and up, and not going backwards. But there's I think a lot of guys in business, they start to venture out too soon, and then that's when their main business tanks because they're not, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta have ground
for me, until my main business is like, I will say I'm not well off until I can pay for a full year of business without, just based off savings.
Living on last year's income.
That takes, business, man. That takes a good while, man, that means you don't owe anybody. You don't have any big debts, and then like you're pretty well off, and you got consistent customers. I'm okay, but at the same time, I mean, honestly, Corona was definitely scare, but I survived it, and the reason why is because I'm very disciplined with my timing, reservations, and actually most guys like that who order we did well during this time. People who didn't have order, they already closed up shop because it's just hard to do business.
Yeah, a lot of business. I was really concerned for small businesses, especially foreign small businesses in Japan when Corona happened.
Well, they dicked us, man. They little fine writing. Man, I didn't get any assistance from Japan. Like all the companies got $20,000. I got zero.
And they weren't letting people, like, as a foreigner, right? You couldn't leave for a while and come back, right? You would be stuck out of country if you left.
Right. So that killed business trips. That killed, because Skype is one thing, but some business meetings got to be face to face. You can't do it over Skype. They're not going to let it happen. So I had an opportunity in the States that I had to turn, because I'm like, I couldn't leave. I got my family, I got my shop, and then I get stuck, and I got 14 days of quarantine out and in, or stuff, like out and in. I'm like, that's
if they let you in, right? Because they wouldn't like, if you weren't, even if you were like a foreign visa holder or like a work visa, you couldn't come back. You were locked out. So like Samick got stuck out there, stuck out in America for a while for that reason.
Yeah, man. One of my guys is over there right now doing Formula Drift, and he's going to do the third round, and he's going to come back, and he got a team over there now, and yeah, man. He when he gets back, he got 14 days. He got to stay in quarantine and do all that stuff, man. So it's definitely screwed things up. But before, man, we kind of got on a tangent with that, but that definitely be cool. I've been approached about some events. The event that I actually got canceled was a co-promotion between my shop and another shop, and that was going to be cool there and everything, and his customers get to see my work and everything like that, and some of my customers. But it's one of the things like that about Pro IZ. The reason why they start opening up to gaijins is because they spend the money first. For guys who don't know, they spend the money first. Right. So Tsukuba say, hey, this event is going to cost $5,000 whatever dollars to rent the track for 3 30-minute sessions. You got to charge as much, which is why we pay $230, $250 for the entry.
Because they got to pay all the people too.
Right. Times. Well, some of them, most of those guys volunteer.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, most of those guys don't. They don't get. Only guy that really gets paid is the main guy, and most of those guys who run it are not. They're like a staff of the company that's running it. So, for example, it'll be like me, Pinku Style. Once I get a ton of money, I can hire you and 5 other dudes to run my thing, and you guys. You do it for basically like shop time or discounts or whatever.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because Jay was trying to get in there, and he wanted to do English track briefs and driver training for the I would say the Y plate guys, but really just any foreigner. Right. It didn't end up happening. I don't know the details, but yeah.
Yeah. But we talk. Me and Jay talk. We click instantly in this. Like I definitely understood his ideas and what he wanted to do. It's one of those things, man. Where I remember being a president of a racing team. It's like when you're in it, you end up doing most of the legwork, and then it's kind of if you're not getting paid from it as much as you're enthused about it. It's like, dude, I got a family, I got a wife, I got a girlfriend.
You gotta live at some point.
Honestly, if you don't want to lose all that stuff, you gotta. So. I remember he was doing like the meetings at the library down there for you guys, and this is how you apex is, and it was good stuff, man. So I was trying to do it from satellite, but I'm like, dude, I got a bunch of stuff going on, and I just, I'll just show up at the events and impart knowledge where I can, but at the same time, man, that's just a whole different, and that's why I kind of stay, because if I get into it, it's hard for me not to want to, hey man, tell a guy you don't want to come, right. You don't want to come there with this tire, or you don't want to do this, and there's things that a lot of beginners do that they think they need. Like, dude, you need a good seat, good brake pads, and maybe change your wheel and a good helmet.
But what about a turbo?
No, it's like it's like, or be like, you already got the stock on it, dude. You're cool with that.
Should I turbo my NA before I go to the track?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like, bro, like
just drive.
Just drive, man. And I think I've been, not to toot my own horn, but I will, man. I've been in many events where I had like a bone stock MRS. The videos on my YouTube, and I went up there to a track. I just wanted to go. I looked at my lot, like this car runs. I got tires for it. It's going. That's how I'll pick it. Like whatever car runs, that's the one that's going to the track. And I just picked it. I was testing the K Sport tires, which are like street radios. They were okay. But when I went there, it was supercharged Integras. There was a Lotus Exige there. There was all these guys with these big power cars, and they were slow as hell. Slow. Because they got all this power, but they're just they let off. I'm like, dude, you're like 120 yards away from the breaking point. What the hell are you doing?
One of my favorite things to do is one of my favorite things to do in the toge is, now I don't do reckless driving on the streets. It's not something I'm like I said, you don't want to go 10 tenths based off those experiences I shared, right? And one of my favorite things to do in the toge, completely within like safe driving limits, is hunting down like Porsches and that kind of thing in like my Miata, or not so much the Miata because I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with that car. And the tires on it, I'm not happy with at all. I just bought anyway. I don't want to get into that, but or we can if you want to. But the Demio, I had RE71Rs on the Demio, loved it, and I would just be all over people on the mountains in that car. But with the Miata, the tires I got right now, I'm not too happy with. They
what brand?
They're Nankang NS2Rs.
Oh,
yeah,
NS2Rs.
and and I'm sure they're great if you can get them hot. I've heard good things about them, but the issue I have is I can't get them hot enough, and it's it's scary. It's really slidey until they're hot, and it's really kind of scary. And the issue I'm having with my Miata right now is overheating. So what's happening is the engine overheats before I can even get any heat in the tires. And I try, swerving and braking and trying to do what I can to get heat in the tires before. And I'm going to give them one more track day, and we'll see. I've done some things.
I got a video up. I got a video up on. I actually tested the NS2Rs out. They were they're like mid for me. Like they're like mid tier. They're definitely for the bang for the buck. They're good. They do, like you said, they stay cold for a little bit. I had the S2000, and I was just coming up the Apex.
I saw that video.
And and it just it went from grip to like no filling, and it just spun out. Yeah. But it was like, damn, man, it was like I had a lot of space, a lot of outroom and everything. But yeah, I did get the same feeling, man, where they were inconsistent with these heat cycles, and I felt like you had to have a lot of get about 5 laps on it, and then it would kind of like level out and give you a good grip and feedback.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning, and especially since this is the first car I've driven that hasn't had ABS, no ABS, right? So that's been a new experience trying to get used to that, and I want that experience. But do I want that experience with questionable tires? Not so much. I'm
an ABS disabler.
Oh, yeah?
I think I disable it. They being able to it's a rewarding skill set. Again, at Subaru, I took the Tsukuba. I actually I took the ABS out, which the brake bias is in the ABS unit. So, in a nutshell, if you just slam on the brakes, like it will lock up the front and the rear wouldn't really get anything. So I successfully didn't lock up the brakes at Tsukuba, and also I had my shift bushing didn't come in the mail in time, so my shifter was just all over the place. So I had so I had those two. Subaru is just like that anyway with the way that stupid thing is set up. But with those two things, I didn't miss a shift. I didn't lock up the wheels, and they were grilling me because the way the car looked. It looked like it would be a trouble in that car. No leaks, no nothing. So Japanese look on the outside. They don't realize underneath I got brand new suspension. The car is reinforced. I got a $1,500 ECU Haltech unit controlling it. Like they just look on the outside exterior, so they don't really see underneath. It's a machine. Yeah. But it looks like a
toy. And everybody I've ever met, everybody I've ever researched on who's worth their salt in driving says disable ABS. Yeah. They're not fans of ABS, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, I need to learn this so that
it's good. It's good training. It's good training. But then you would look at like again we brought out F1. F1 has ABS or some. It's like that car. It's way too much going on to those big tires.
Yeah.
It's
like grease balls until they're like 100 miles an hour.
Right. So like so it's, I always used to say no ABS. It's just something. It's a thing that I didn't. My cars didn't come with it. I got accustomed to it, and I think if you're going to be a driver at a certain level, it's just like you have to be. It's good. Even drive one ABS, there's a skill set driving with it where you can't. Some people get dependent upon it. I got a lot of cars outside actually right now. Again, I bring them up a lot that's had the same brake pads on it since like maybe 2013 because I don't utilize the braking until it's needed, and that's it. When you just like on a tow gate and you just like brake, and then your brakes are smoking hot and your coolant's boiling, your dot 3 is boiling. It's like the use, and I've taken guys to the mountain and I never do it again. I've took the last guy there and the dude like bowled off his brakes, almost crashed into the mountain, and he also locked with the caliper because he just rode the brakes so all the way down the tow gate. Brakes right.
Oh.
So his caliper, the piston got stuck out.
Oh yeah.
So to get him home, I had to take off his piston in the middle of the tow gate, wind it back in because I had my tools, and I had to go to the gas station and get him some brake fluid because he boiled it out so much that it actually came out the cylinder. So it was below low.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it and I was like, never again, man. So I didn't. That day was the last day I went to the tow gate with a group of anybody because it was like I can't afford to. And I'm not going to leave the guy. I'm not going to leave the guy stranded. So I was like, to avoid that situation, I don't go to. I don't.
Yeah, and that's the thing about group driving, and not just like toge. Like toge is unique in its own thing because Japan's roads offer a unique level of difficulty that Americans typically don't have, right? Yeah. But but even group driving in America, like if you're just going for a cruise in a gentle mountain slope, people act crazy. When because they got something to prove, and you get into a mob mentality, and that's when you start having accidents. So yeah, absolutely. Yep. I try to avoid. I enjoy meeting with people and going on cruises with people, but whenever I drive with a group, I'm always very intentional about not being in the middle of the group, and I just drive at my pace, and I don't let anybody affect that.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's like a male thing, and it's just like people don't even realize they're being competitive. It's just like it's not even a male thing; it's a human nature thing. But yeah, man, I remember because I was that guy. We would back in the day. We would go out in our group, man. It would be like see who could do the dumbest thing. Now that I have a family and kids, to some of the shit I did, cutting into traffic and cutting people. I mean, dude, literally touching other cars.
Oh yeah.
And we would do that all the way to our destination and get there and think we were the coolest fucking people on earth. And now we're all older, and it's like, dude, that was the dumbest shit ever we were doing, man. But at the time, you were like, cool, man. I'm cutting motherfuckers off, and it's just
like, oh, look how skilled I am.
So yeah, man. Yeah, when you're actually not. That's not a skill set at all. It's just being stupid. And yeah, man, it's just you grow up. So I mean, there's somebody out there right now we're talking about, and they're doing it right now somewhere in the world. But it's like
we got a lot of people like that at Yokota. But they're learning, though. Like they tend to do that for a while, and then they'll slow down.
I think when you come to Masawa, man, you'll be shocked. A lot of the guys are gone, but Masawa and Okinawa. I've talked to a lot of guys in Okinawa, and it seems collectively, man, like far as like high power builds and builds in general, because it's a little bit slower in both those places, the builds are actually more high power and more like more put together.
Yeah, it does seem. I don't know about Masawa, but yeah, I've seen a lot of like the YouTubers over there in Okinawa, and their cars do seem quite a bit more sorted than ours. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just I think it's one of those things like we mentioned. Like there's so much. Like again, there's so many things that penetrate the mind down there. Versus Masawa, we're up here. We're fucking in the mountains. We're like we're like the White Walkers, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the snow is coming. It's coming. And then you got Okinawa, which is down there in the tropics, which is like
the road's always available.
The shipping sucks. Like the pair of NS2Rs that cost you like Yamon, it cost them about Hachimon for the shipping.
Really? It's that bad?
Yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad there. I got some stuff from there and I refused. I don't buy anything. Okinawa and Hokkaido, I don't even look at them for it's mainland only. And I try to stay north of like Osaka, because even down at Fukuoka, it gets bad. But anyway, man, I think you guys, because you got the Daiko there, you got the mountains there, you got it's just like so much going on. Yeah, that you want to like, hey, you want to get your car ready to get there. And here it's slower. And it's just more space. So the guys a single E4 has a 2-car garage with a 4 bedrooms. Yeah, man. Yeah.
We're over here fighting for parking spots. Like,
yeah.
Like
dude,
we could have
come
a
here, man, like
fight club for whoever wins gets the parking spot.
Dude, when you come here, you'll be like shocked, man. Like the space, I went to Yokosuka and a dude had a chaser, and I'm like, bro, he parked it. I'm like, dude, you gonna back? He said, no, that's all. So like the rear of the car was in the driveway, and the front door and the hood and everything was in the street. And I'm like, bro, I couldn't live like this, man. Yokosuka's even worse than
Dakota. It is, and it's prettier though. But because they're so close to like Odaiba and Yokohama is a really popular place. One of the first ports that was open to trade. So it's definitely and we got like, you'll see, I've never seen so many like half parking spots, and people will go out of their way and they'll build a parking spot for a car that will fit at most a go-kart. And they went out of their way to build this.
Yeah. That is crazy, man. Like, it is the space, but then it's like, I think it's right in the thing, to give Yokosuka a little bit of credit, it's more so when I was talking about Yokosuka, it's like right around the base. If you get like 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes drive, if you want to do that to work in the morning, it gets more like open. And then Yokosuka, I didn't know they have, Misawa is like, you got North Base, Yokota is separated by the runway. You got the whatever, but Yokosuka, dude, like the housing is on the main base, and then like the housing is like almost 25 minutes away from base. It's like crazy, dude.
Wow.
So it's like all the way, it's far away. So imagine if you got to go to PT, you got to get up at 2 hours prior, and then go to PT, and then you got to go shower and get back to work. That's crazy, man.
And that's how it is. That's how it is for me. It's my life, because I live 6 miles away, and it takes me 1 hour to commute.
No shit.
Yeah, 1 hour.
6 miles.
6 miles away. Yes, I believe
That's
so.
That's crazy, man. So are you like all on Route 16, or you take the toll road, or?
No. It's I can do Route 16, but it's mostly I do residential streets actually. I had one of my Japanese guys show me how to get what his opinion was on the best way to get to work, and so I've been doing that, and I haven't really gone past that very much.
Yeah. That's
like I can reach out of my car, and I can touch the poles. That's my commute.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. That's one. It's pros and cons to everything, man. I just when I came to Japan, I was kind of let down that I didn't get Yokota. Then after visiting there, I was like, dude, I'm glad I didn't get down there, man. It's just when you're up here and you see all of the, again, like I moved off. I got BTZ in Kuwait. Then I came back and I made staff. So I moved off the base and moved off base 2010 or something like that. And it's pretty much, I don't go to the hobby shop. So I had it was a small 1-car garage, but I built like cars in there. I did all this other stuff. Then I moved to another house, 1-car garage, and I moved to another house, 1-car garage, a little bit bigger. And then now I got my shop, but it's still a 1-car garage, you know what I mean? And it's like, I thought it wasn't much. Then I would go down there. I was like, holy shit, man. I was like grateful for what I had up here. Because like you guys, you want to get out there and do stuff. And it's like they keep you on base. And
it's not easy. We have a lot of people who just don't go out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This is crazy. It's crazy like that, man. So it's you, I guess you get there and a lot of people probably get like, I'm pretty sure a lot of guys on there, like they always talk what they're going to do, and for like the whole 2 or 4 years they're there, they don't do nothing. They don't go to the track. They don't do anything. So it's like,
and it's not even just car people.
Yeah, they want to go to Fuji. They want to do all this other stuff. They just like, I'm gonna stay on base, Netflix and chill, do all this stuff, man. And they don't do that. But hey, man, this is about 2 hours, man. Actually, I'll say I wasn't gonna do the car challenge with you, but I want to do it with you, man, because you're definitely a car guy. So what this is for the guys who don't know. It's a little segment I start doing, like this, a theoretical segment, the cool theory. I'll take a couple of cars, and I got 3 cars right here. I'll let you know what they are. The tracks, they're actually the same cars from the last episode, but I just changed the track to Tsukuba because we're familiar with that. All right, so pretty much what we're going to say is they're 320 horsepower, equal power. They got street radios on this, so like AO 550s or whatever. Well, not national. I would say a RSR or something like that. That's AO 550 is a different tire. Both they are pro drivers. That way they're on the same level, so that this rules out the shitty driver or the bad driver and everything. So we got the cars right here and everything. Track Tsukuba. So the first one I'm going to put out is going to be EG6 Civic versus the CeeLo V6, which you know about all that stuff in the European cars. So the CeeLo V6 on an EG Civic on Tsukuba, man. Who would win and why?
Well, I would say probably the EG6.
Sorry, 10 laps.
10 laps.
10 lap battle.
Wow, that's long. And this is Tsukuba 2000, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Tsukuba 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not too familiar with the CeeLo. What was the?
The CeeLo is a hot hatchback. It's a hatchback that's all-wheel drive. Is a turbo V6 it's MR. So that's a lot going on right there.
Is that Mercedes?
No, the CeeLo is this is just a CeeLo. That's all I know about it. I don't know who makes it, but it's if you look up in Gran Turismo, it's on Gran Turismo. So it's a cool looking hatch. Looks like a Civic on steroids. Well, no, it looks like a Golf GTI on steroids. It's just a wide body, got air dams in it. And again, it's all-wheel drive. It's a hatchback. It's a turbo V6. I think it's twin turbo, and it's MR.
Now I feel bad because I obviously inspired you enough to try this, but then I don't recognize the first car you mentioned. So, I'm gonna do my best here, and maybe I've outed myself a little bit, not knowing what that is. But I'm gonna say, if I had to choose between for a 10 lap battle, I would pick I would pick the EG6 because lightweight, it'd be easier on the brakes and easier on the tires. Right. You said they both had like 300 horsepower.
I'll say so
it's a tuned. So it's a tuned EG6.
Yeah, so it's definitely a tuned EG6. Okay. So probably the 320 has probably got like a B16 or a B18 in there or something like that. But it's 320. So it's but like you said, the 320 and the Civic is front wheel drive 320, and then also the CeeLo is a V6 all wheel drive, and it's MR. So it's a lot happening with that car, dude. Look it up. Look it up.
An
on
MR
YouTube,
hatch.
dude.
MR all-wheel drive 6.
Yeah, MR all-wheel drive turbo. That's a lot going on.
What was it? The RS4 kind of is like that. But okay. All right. So I'm still gonna go with. I think I'm still gonna go with the EG6 for durability reasons.
All right. So we got the EG6.
I'm gonna
so like that.
Tune to EG6.
Yeah. Look up that car, man. It'll. I found out about the car by Gran Turismo 2 or 3.
Look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Gran Turismo 3. Like, dude, I was killing cars with that car because at Gran Turismo you had to do like the front wheel drive, the MR, the rear wheel drive, and I got this car. I'm like, dude, this, and it was fast. All right, so the next one we got right here will be the next battle with Tsukuba. Same thing, 320 horsepower. So we got an Evo 9 MR versus the WX STI Spec C. And just for which one we'll see this the GDA version of GDB. So 10 lap battle. Which one wins that equal power and why?
I'm gonna go with the I just have more experience with STIs than I do with Evos, and as I understand, I'm probably gonna make a lot of Evo people cringe in this. The STI is the more reliable of the two, as far as like long endurance type stuff goes. Like if I had to do like a long-term course, I would pick the Subaru.
The as far as they're like create like the engine, the 4G63 is very very more superior than like the EJ.
Oh really?
So engine wise, but then they have trade-offs where like the Evo has like a steering, feels like Evo, if you never driven an Evo, they feel like you're not. It feels like you're driving like a drive-by steering.
So do they have electric steering? The Evo 9s?
What? No, the Evo 9 they have it's a manual steering, but it has like it has the yaw for the yaw controllers and stuff like that. So when you're going around the corner, it does a little thing where it turns the wheel and do all like crazy stuff like that. So you can be almost in an all-wheel drive skid.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, so they're the Evo, the WX out the box is more durable. is definitely more durable than there. So like if they had the both same engine like if the WRX had Evo's reliability, the Ford G63 with everything else it has, then it would be like unstoppable car.
And I'm picking all the wrong stuff.
That's your choice, man. That's your choice. Yeah, I would say. This is your picks, but the WRX STI Spec C, the GDB version, I would pick it over the MR. Okay. It's that car was the Spec C was a. We're not getting into like the R. They got the Type R. The WRX is confusing because it looks like an STI, but no, man, that's a RA version. That's the RAR version, Type R. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? It looks like like WRX has so many little subgroups within it's an STI, but it ain't a limited STI.
Right.
It's not the V spec, the V limited. It's like, dude, it's confusing because they all look like WRXs with a big hood scoop. You know what I mean? So like the Spec C got a special little hood scoop and stuff like that, but it is what it is. But I would, so you picked the WRX, I would pick that. I would actually pick that as well. Only thing that would make it close to me is you would get into an Evo has the yaw controller, but if it's tuned properly, it definitely in the driver's into it. The last corner, the Evo can like dive into it and almost have like literally like a controlled all-wheel drive skid.
Is that a good thing for a grip for time attack though?
Well, I mean, it's the way the wheel. It's kind of like if you get to the point where you kind of go in too hot, it would kind of be able to come back.
Okay.
If you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Whereas the WRX being, they're both all-wheel drive. They're not selectable. But the WRX is one of those things where these both are pro drivers, but a lot of rookie drivers, they would, like when you get into like a situation when you let off the throttle, the WRX is. You want to throttle in to if you're understeering, you want to throttle in to keep it going around. I've seen guys at the track, they lift off and it will shoot them into the direction that they're pointing.
Right.
Because the WRX is one of those cars where you got to literally.
You have to dig it into the corner.
You got to literally.
Yeah.
Right. You got to dig it into the corner and stomp down to keep it in that. Kind of yeah. But the thing about a GT-R, a lot of guys don't really get like crazy on tangent, but the GT-R, but people don't realize GT-R is actually rear wheel drive with front wheel drive assistance.
A
lot of people don't. They don't realize the car is.
It's not true all-wheel drive.
Rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Right. They got the Tesla system. You can disable it. You can do the little code. There's a code for all of. You can do it's a code for GTRs where you can disable the brakes. You can press the brakes in, toggle the key, and you disable the Tesla
Yeah, my
system.
buddy had a 32, and he actually had like a drift switch for his. He would switch it to rear-wheel drive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The 32 is easier because 32 you can just pull a fuse and you're done. But at 33 and 34 you couldn't do that. Yeah. But you can literally you toggle the key, turn it to the on position, you press the brakes, you turn it off, and it disables the hike.
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. So you can actually do a dyno pull without it's kind of dangerous because it can kind of come back on.
Oh my god.
So you can do a dyno pull. You just got her rolls for the front just in case they catch.
Yeah.
And you hook your wheels up to the rear. So that's there. So this one right here is a kind of weird one. I'm probably going to catch flag foot because it's not. It can't be real.
I hope I recognize the car.
It's cool. All right. Yeah. All right. So this one is a A90 Supra.
Okay. All right.
Versus the new concept 400Z.
Oh, hey, now we're talking in my generation. All right. Okay. Now, are we talking the 6-cylinder or the 4-cylinder A90?
So, let's say 6. Let's say 6, and then for the Z is they're saying it should come out the box about 380. The engine platform seems like it's going to be what the V the something 30.
Yeah.
So they seem like it's still not firm with me. I haven't really looked into it other than what I've seen on Instagram, but I think that's going right now. They already got rival because there's like this is Nissan's answer to the 890.
Yeah, which is interesting.
And a lot of people
because I feel like
before we get to the talk, man. Which one in theory, man? Which one you think would win the Tsukuba 10 laps?
Easy.
Based on the current,
it's the Supra.
Yeah,
I think so. I think that the Z is going to be the better driver's car, but I think the Supra is going to be faster on track. Because the Supra has the same wheel length as the Cayman, and that was kind of like the benchmark that they were going for, right? And it's also got a really nice dual. I don't like people. People are what people are, right? But the Supra has a dual clutch transmission because it's better. than a manual transmission.
Right.
And the Z has a manual transmission because it gives you a better experience. And so that would be the car. I would buy the Z. But if I had to like guess between which one out of the box, out of the factory, so the Z's looking around 400-ish.
Right. It still seems up in the air about those specs.
Yeah, and we're not quite sure, right? Yeah, but and we know what they are for the A90 for the 6-cylinder. I'm gonna say the A90. I think that was I think it's an incredible car, and I think people are just a little lying to themselves. And you know what? They can keep doing so, because when those cars drop in value, because nobody wants them, I'll be there.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Dude, I'm well, another reason why that's the end of the thing right there, man. But the reason why I got so many cars, man, is because I'm a vulture, man. Like I don't mind a little damage, like, and that's how I get it. Like that's how I'm gonna get an R35 GT-R. Somebody's gonna have a small little fender bender, and they're gonna put it on the auctions for like $20K, and I'm gonna have a spare $20K, and I'm gonna buy that car because I've seen one actually for about. It was 28 or like it was 28, and when I looked at the end auction, it went for 32 or something like that. It needed a little bit of work, but it was a headlight, a fender, and a bumper, and like the core support. That's it. I'm like, dude, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's a few rivets and new core support, and that's how I get into most cars, man. Like my S2000 was wrecked in the front, completely wrecked. I cut everything out. Put new fenders on it, new tube frame. I got S2000.
Oh yeah, see that's I saw someone do that with a Miata. Yeah. They got like a $900 Miata because they just tube framed it. They just totaled in the front. They just tube framed it.
Yeah, I mean I paid $0 for it. It cost me $3,000 to fix it. I fixed it in 3 weeks and had it at the track, and the owner almost asked for it back. I was like, nah, dude, it's mine.
That's ironic. He was like, well, I didn't realize it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the thing about it is a pipe frame, but you can cover it enough to actually pass JCI. Like it's possible to pass it. Just put a tray under the bottom and put like a cover on top. They would never see the pipe.
So tube framing is an issue for chicane.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, shocking, man. Shocking is that's a no go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because your car would pretty much not bend, and then like you would go through the back of a K car. Yeah. And that same thing, like for the reason why we can't have single piece drive shafts. So when I sell a car, like
because it's a spear.
My V, it's pretty much if you get in an accident, it doesn't do the little U joint. It just somebody's gonna get punctured with that thing, man. So So the man, it's for me, man, like you mentioned the dual clutch and everything, man, it's one thing like the GT-R. People like, of course, Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear, like the flappy gearbox, and everybody gives him shit. But it's like, dude, no matter how good of a driver you is, you cannot shift faster than that transmission.
No, yeah. Honestly, the R35 is a great example of that. That is a car that outperforms its driver 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And that's
you can't. And then also you don't. One thing driving a manual car, especially drifting, it's like one of the biggest things people worry about. It's not drifting; it's missing a gear. Because if you miss a gear, you can actually crash because you go.
Seen it happen.
And then like you bog down. Yeah, you bog down. I've done it before. Luckily, I was every time I missed a gear, it was an elite run. So I kind of got it back in gear and got out of the way. But that's the biggest thing, man. That you don't miss a gear. That's why a lot of drifters go to they got the sequential now, because you just worry about drifting. You don't have to worry about you're not going to miss a gear unless you tap it twice, which is kind of hard to do. But the man, that's like you're not going to miss a gear in that Supra. You're not going to miss a gear in R35. You can mess the gear up by dumping it too hard, but
that's what I mean, that's the thing. It's like those cars these days that they are factually better. That's why you haven't seen a manual transmission in like a Ferrari for a long time. But that doesn't. It's the question is, what are you looking for in a car? Are you looking for raw performance? Right. I guarantee you, a lot of people who buy R35 GT-Rs cannot drive that car to its limit.
Right.
So maybe they should have got I don't know, Miata.
Yeah, man. That's it's just the dynamics of where the car's set up. Then the guy will get a 35 GT-R, and then they'll want to do like a manual swap or whatever. And like, dude, you realize the transmission's in the back. Like they don't stuff like that a lot of guys don't realize. For example, right. And like for like one of the cars, it was a Corvette C6 has the torque tube. So like guys don't realize like the It's not. There's no transmission. The transmission's in the rear. It's in the rear of the car, and it has a torque tube that goes from the engine all the way to the back. So when you get a certain LS1, like the one LS1 I had was the one with the torque tube. So I had to. Well, I sold it already.
It won't mount up to a traditional
I had to get the. Well, not yeah, because the transmission for that car was was in the back. It's like the MR type of thing. Yeah. Then it has a long torque tube. I was like, what the fuck's a torque tube? I never knew what a torque tube was. So I looked it up, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I knew that some cars had a transmission like in a different location, but I didn't know the terminology. So I'm gonna look up torque tubes, and I'll look into that.
Well, that's what I don't know what the GT-R Japanese call theirs, but that's what the American call it. They're simple torque tube.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because you can kind of offset the weight of the engine with a little bit of weight of the transmission, right? So the transmission is literally like almost connected to the rear wheels, which you got the back there with the weight, you got the front, and then it's fiberglass. So the weight, that's why that's I want a C6, C7 Corvette. Yeah, C7,
those cars,
D06,
I think they're
where the money's at.
Yeah, I think they're underutilized, man. Even a C5. The C5 was used a lot in my area for auto.
They got that thing about the C5. It's just going to sound so vain that I can't stand it. Is they got the sticky buttons? Remember in the early 2000s when Chevy was doing the sticky button phase, and they didn't think about how that material would age, and now it's just like it peels off. It's like glue almost.
Yeah, it melts when it gets hot. Yeah, my Ford, it has the same thing where the buttons are melting. Like, dude, it feels like you touched something like nasty, man. Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm actually looking for a C5. I want to do something one of those. And then the LT1 is not the greatest engine, but I'll swap something else in it.
It's LS's for days.
Yeah, but it's just crazy, man. With that, now we'll wrap up on this, man. What's your because you come from, your family and everything with the cars, man. When guys started swapping the LSs a lot, what was your thoughts on
I thought it was so cool, man. I'll never forget the first time I saw an LS swap Miata. I was just like, man, this is, I was addicted to it.
Big engine, small car.
I just love the idea of having something that people don't expect. And then you start it up and it rumbles with that nasty V8 gurgle. Oh, big cams. Dude. I loved it. Probably never do it because now I understand vehicle dynamics, but a little bit better anyway. But yeah.
The thing about I didn't hate it. I didn't like love it. It was like my thing is I stay in my lane pretty well. And it's like, I'm not doing this, I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's cool. But then when I got a V8, I got an LS1 off of the auctions, which was an impulse buy. It was about $3,200, and it sat for like 2 years. Now I was gonna put it in an R33, then I was gonna put it in my Z4 BMW, then I was gonna put it in this car. And then I was like, dude, I need money, so I sold it, and hit a turbo kit and everything for it. And then I looked before I bought the engine. This is solid tech. Again, guys who don't realize how easy it is to learn shit. Never worked on LS1 ever. Never seen it. While I was bidding on it, I spent an hour just looking at the parts. I'm like, dude, I can rebuild it for $1,500. And then I looked up the dynamics of it. I'm like, dude, there's gaskets for everything. I could take this engine apart in literally 20 minutes. Like, I was like, bro, this is why people got this engine. It's just like, it's a Lego, and it's like an adult Lego.
It's big, simple, natural displacement. Dude,
crazy easy. I'm like, the cam that slides in and out, that's it. Like, that's it. I'm like, bro, I couldn't believe it. Like,
that's why they're so cheap, because the parts are simple, right? Because so that makes it easy to manufacture.
It's simple, dude. It's simple. It's simple, and then like I want a sloppy mechanics page, and there's like, don't look at he's like, did you change the bearings? Like, don't look at the cam bearings. Like, if you don't look at them, they're good to go. So it's like, yeah. So it's like, and then I watch, of course, Roadkill before they went behind the paywall. I used to watch Roadkill a bunch. The Motor Trend thing was cool with the Angelou and the other guys, but I couldn't pay for it because I didn't watch that much. But I'm like they're like 302. I'm like, fuck's it. I don't know nothing about these numbers, like these cubes.
Oh, you're talking like the old
liters
stuff?
And they like 30 this and 3 this and this and this.
Like a Chevy like 459. I don't know anything about like that. Yeah.
The transmissions, but again, the information out there. I had a customer wanted to put a 2J into a box Caprice, and he aborted that after I gave him the quote. But in a span of 30 minutes, because his transmission, he actually had a transmission that was I forgot the code, but it actually was a really sought after transmission that somebody swapped in there. So it was the one that I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a something R, and that was the one that was the pinnacle. So his transmission was good, but it wouldn't mate to any swap kits. So he wanted to keep the same column shift with the 2J. I'm like, man, you got it. After I laid out what he had to do, yeah, he wanted to keep that whole. He didn't want to cut the floor for the A4 whatever transmission. So I'm like, that's not gonna fit because of this, that, and the other. And I'm like, dude, this is gonna be like a $30,000 bill. And he's like, oh, I thought it was gonna be like $10,000. I was like,
you have to machine some stuff.
Yeah, I mean the kits are out there, but the 2J wasn't meant to fit
right,
the Caprice. Yeah. And there's one out there. There's some guy who has a Caprice.
It's kind of like the. I don't know enough about swaps, but it seems like that would be kind of a similar barrier like the guy faced when he put the R33 GT-R engine in the highest. Yeah, because he's got his.
I've seen that guy.
Yeah. But it's the traditional H pattern though, so.
I don't know the specs of that car, but I seen him. I know what car you're talking about, and he actually. He came into the Daiko. I was there with some guys from Yokosuka, and he pulled up. And he was just like, that car is like hype, and then like he was pulling up there to see who was checking it out. And like you say, man, it's like you saw your R33. He drives that car around, and it's like he's looking for people to be like, it's the high ace with that. And it's like me, I just don't. I mean, I got the Cappuccino 1G I'm working on now, so that would be cool. But that's more of a that build is I got cars with power, but it's like now to the point where like, you know, I never did drugs, but it's like, all right, you do, you know, you smoke crack or whatever. What's the next thing? It's like for me, it's with power. I guess that's a bad analogy, but it's like I can drift. That's cool.
Similar, I'd say.
yeah. It's like now that you can drift, it's like going to the track, and I know guys who do it, and that's their thing. They drift the same car for the last 13 years, and I'm like, that's just boring to me, man. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just, so now I mastered this chassis. I can jump in any car roughly, and I know the inner workings of the car. MR2 to a GT-R to a Subaru to an Evo, and that's my thing, man. Is and that's why I can't stand purists because they're worst. They're so biased. They don't think logically.
Yeah.
And they just think their Honda's the best. They think their Subaru is the best. They think their Evo is the best.
Tool for the job. That's why I'm doing these like passion project type things on my YouTube channel, because I want to. Honestly, it's a veneer. I'm just trying to get people to let me drive their cars, because I want to have as much stick time as possible on as many different platforms as I can. I drove a classic Mini this past week for the first time.
Oh yeah, tell me the green one. No,
actually, I did drive that one, but I drove Gino Messina, his blue one. I drove both of those actually, but I drove the other guy's blue one on Sunday, and I was more nervous about that than I was about driving in some of these other guys like really nice GT-Rs and stuff, because it was like a 4-speed and the pedals were like to the left of the steering wheel.
Yeah. The gauge in the center.
The turn signals on the opposite side of the stock, so it's like I was nervous, and it was just a wonderful experience. So it's all about getting new experiences. Yeah, absolutely. Shouldn't stick to the same car. I just shipped the classic Mini out 2 weeks ago, and I'm just driving that thing. And like the guy who brought it there, he was the chief, and he was the Air Force chief, and when he got out of the car, man, he was like about 6'3", looked like he about 200 something. I'm like, dude. And I'm like, then I didn't sit in it. Then when I sat in, I'm like, I'm 5'11", about 220, 30 pounds. Well, 5'10", not 5'11", 5'10". And I'm like, dude, it's kind of like the Cappuccino, which is why I got it, because I'm like, dude, it looks like you would never fit in it, but you fit in it. Like, and it's a flat floor, and it got like the bench seat almost in his. And only thing that was weird, like the transmission was like, I was trying to get it in reverse. I'm like, all right, well, you gotta pull up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like a pull-up sleeve, right? It's the whole thing.
Yeah. You gotta, yeah. And I'm like, don't rip, yeah. So, exactly, because I'm like, all right, I'm like, look, Z, I gotta push down and over. S2000, you gotta push down and whatever.
Had like
BMW,
you got a finger sleeve that you pull out. Yeah.
Yeah. The BMW, you gotta push down and up to the left.
Yeah.
Weird. And
or the Tesla, you just open, reverse is there if you wanted to go there instead of first.
Yeah. Yeah. Or somewhere you gotta push it over and you feel like gate, you push it all the way to the right and then down. So it's like, it's funny when not funny when a guy drives into a car in front of you, but I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But you give a guy the keys to the car and he puts it in reverse.
The old Teslas are bad about that because the reverse is right next to first gear and it's ungated, so it's just you'll slide right in. Like, oops.
Yeah. It doesn't have the gate where it comes in like over like I guess 2 mile per hour or something like that. It's supposed to. You can go in reverse while you. Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's a speed limiter on it, but I'm pretty sure it's an ungated reverse. Yeah. And the issue I ran into is if you're parked facing a wall. If you're parked backed into a wall, right? And you want to go in first, you could very easily be in reverse if you don't take your time. Yeah.
I've seen Civics multiple times. Like, the guy is so worried about the race, and he put it, you do a burnout and you put it in reverse to go back, and they don't take it out of reverse. So I've seen multiple times at the track. I know you've probably seen too if you're drag racing. Like, one guy goes back and forward, and I've seen.
Yeah, they'll just floor it in reverse, right?
Yeah, I seen it one time where nobody died, but some people got their legs run over. Man, the dude backed into the gallery
because the pits are usually right behind the burnout pit. Yeah. So.
Yeah. What is the street race? Street racing. Yeah. So and the guy was like, he was talking a lot of shit. He had a B18 turbo Civic. I was like, yeah, it looks fast in reverse, man.
No.
Yeah, which the object is to go straight.
The original Mustang, so maybe.
Yeah. This is way before the Mustangs got there.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I saw a guy in El Camino on a drag strip rip his rear axle out. Whoop, the whole thing just whoop, came out forwards. Too much.
That's one of those things where you're probably in the shop late at night and then somebody didn't put the U joints in there or something like that, man.
Put big old slicks on it and didn't make sure your axle was reinforced
Dude, and that's on that, man. That's like we had the Directs, man. Like, a lot of guys, when the Directs first came, like the STI first, Evo came there, Evo 7, and there was a point in time like around 2000 whatever where that was Evo and Directs were just battling. But the dudes, they were just breaking transmissions left and right because they were like, those cars were not made for drag racing. And like, dudes will launch, and launch like, dude, why is my transmission broke? Because it ain't meant to be shot.
And honestly, the issues with the R33s, right? They're popularly known for having second and third geared synchros. And that's because people try to do dig pulls on these things. And it never was designed for that.
That, and also I've seen it a lot. I got to be careful in advice because I'm a shop and everything. So people go like, Pink Style said do this. So I kind of give vague advice because I get paid to do this.
You don't want to claim responsibility.
I can't tell a guy how. Yeah. Right. And also, I can't. You go on YouTube when I find out. But biggest thing I tell guys is they put the wrong GL rating in their transmission. They don't realize that the old transmissions can't take the new cutting edge gear oil because it'll literally strip the synchros. So the other R33s, 32s, that's all GL4 rated. So if you put that new stuff in there, the GL5 and up, it'll eat the synchros. It'll literally, when you change the oil, you'll literally see copper.
Oh wow,
copper flakes. Yeah. Then next thing you know, grinding everything. So MT90, I recommend. MT90 is good because it's good for the old high mileage ones, and it's really, the viscosity is very great. And it makes those gears. You can literally have no gear oil for like a little bit, and they'll be coated.
Oh wow.
So the MT90 is really good for older cars, and I just see a lot of guys. I do a lot of engine overhauls. I do a lot of transmission swaps, a lot of clutch swaps and things like that because guys just destroy them, and they use the wrong gear.
Yeah, I'll have to hit you up then because I'm going to be doing the transmission fluid on the Miata at some point. I should have done that a long time ago, but I haven't. But it's this. It is for that older car, the Redline MT90, and you can order. I was gonna try to be a dealer for it, but you can order it from right here in Japan. I'll send you a link for it. It's a company actually down there in your area.
and they have the full Redline catalog there. So I got my order in like 2 days.
Nice.
And so, I mean, you being on there, you should get in like a day and a half. So it should be pretty good, man. And it comes right in and all that stuff like that, man. But hey, man, again, I knew like this ran about 2 hours and something like that. 2 hours and about 2 hours and 30 minutes. 2 hours and 30 minutes. So it don't even seem that long, man. You know, it's the first time we really talked and everything, and I'm pretty sure we'll get on here again. And I look forward to coming down there and meet you guys and ride around. So I'll get on a Race Life Japan, and I'll look up for the next events and everything like that. Then, like I said, you guys are more than welcome to come up to send.
I appreciate it. Yeah, check out if you can check out my YouTube channel and watch me fail at basic mechanical things. It's really bad.
It definitely at the end of this, man. Send me your links, social media, and everything. So I mean, we're at the end. I normally exit in the beginning. My bad. Like, so what's your YouTube channel and everything? Where can people follow?
Oh yeah,
you,
sure,
man?
yeah. It's Amateur Enthusiasm. So that's the YouTube channel. It's spelled the traditional way, just Amateur Enthusiasm. And then my Instagram is also Amateur Enthusiasm. But if you want to see just photography for cars, it's Pasco Flyer. That's PASCOFLYER.
Yeah, just shoot me the links. People are lazy, so they want to click on it. So shoot me the links and everything. I'll put them in the bottom. And also, if you could, man, just send me a video of your recent track day you driving, and I'll throw that in the intro.
Okay, cool.
Video
yeah,
everything, man.
So pretty slow day, cool. But I'll send it to you.
That's all good, man. It's pretty cool. I'll just do that. I mean, I just like for the guys who actually have track stuff, because I usually put music in the intro, my own music, but guys who have like actual cool video, I like to show their stuff off and everything so people can see their stuff. But hey, man, again, it was a good time talking with you, man. Great conversation. Again, like I said, none of this was planned. It was just off the hip and just car guys talking, man. Which I'm pretty sure you talked for 2 hours in the parking lot before to a random guy, probably. Yeah. Many times I've done it.
Absolutely.
Never met the guy, and you become lifelong friends.
You made a lot of friends that way. That's what's so great about the Japanese car scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also met a lot of dickheads too, but you can't help it, man. They're everywhere, man. They're snowboarders, skaters, losers, checker players, chess players.
Even World of Warcraft is playing over there.
Yeah, man, that's enough. But that's a whole different. I had a buddy, man, that could never drift because he would always buy those weapons. Oh. I won't say his name because I don't want to bring shame upon him, but. Like, dude, why can't you afford tires? Because I just bought this cool weapon. I'm like, oh, cool. Where's it at? Oh, it's in the game. I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, I can relate.
Like, dude, you bought a weapon on eBay? Like, nah, dude. No, dude.
Some sketchy Russian buys is what he bought it from.
Yeah. So I got this many infinity points or whatever. I'm like, I don't know anything about it, but yeah, hey man, it is what it is. But hey man, again, thanks for joining me for this. For the guys out there again, be sure to like, subscribe, and share to grow the channel. This will be I think this will be episode number 78 or 9. Losing track of them. Nice. But it'll be pretty cool and everything, man. So again, guys, there you got if you want to be a guest on a podcast, this podcast is PinkuStyle.com. Send me a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you want to promote, what you want to talk about, and then we'll schedule it in if we can get it in. And I mean, my thing with this podcast is I'm not looking to not targeting, trying to get Bill Gates and A-list people on. I just want to talk to my buddies, my car guys, and then get their story out there, and then just catch up. Because me and Kyle we spoke online a few times, hit or miss on the Messenger, but we never it's first time talking, man. So we learn about each other and theories and things like that and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's a pretty good time out there. Just be safe out there with all this Corona stuff going on. Just be sure to be vigilant and follow the rules or whatever. Do what you got to do. Wear the mask. Take it off. Do what you got to do. And just be safe. And hopefully 2021, I think, will be a lot of people are going to be appreciating life because we've all been stuck and cut off and delayed on parts and missed events and everything. So I think 2021 is going to I think 2021 is going to be nuts. This is why I decided not to compete this year and get my cars ready for next year. That way I can do rally, autocross. I got cars from multiple different disciplines, so I can go to multiple events all the time. So just get ready. I think 2021 is going to be cool, and be safe out there, guys. So again, it's going to be Donnie signing off from Salvage Japan. Kyle from 8 hours south or 7.5 hours, whatever you want to say on MapQuest. or Google
MapQuest
Maps.
for us old guys.
Yeah, yeah. Is MapQuest still even around?
I don't think so.
Like,
I haven't.
Yeah, I think they
The
probably
last time I
don't.
used MapQuest was 7 years ago. So
I'm pretty sure they probably do have like at least like they don't have paper print no more. You got a cell phone. So anyway, man. Yeah, man, we will link up and everything, do all that stuff again. But guys, thanks for tuning in. It's gonna be Don signing off from South Japan. It's gonna be Pinku Style, Pink Ranger, Donnie, Jax, whatever names you want to say. Signing out. See you guys later. Peace.
See ya.